Hello, everybody, and welcome to another lovely Sunday stream here with another bit of WARNO League action. As I'm once more joined by the lovely Chlorite.
Hello, everybody. If you're on YouTube, remember to like the stream. And even if you're not on YouTube, you can click the stream and like it. That is the way we grow the community right here on the WARNO League stream. What do we have going on? It seems that there's something a little bit wonky happening, wacky happening on our screen protocol. What's going on?
We have a 35th US versus 35th US game, and that is because this is a tiebreaker game. Bendover and Jeremy, aka Zister, ZX Vister, are both tied in points here in their group stage. They both will advance to the playoff stage, but they need to decide who gets in as first slot, who gets in as second slot, and that is what this is all about. And they decided to make that tiebreaker game a 35th US versus 35th US game. They asked me if that is okay. I gave my agreement to it, so that they don't have any counter picks and so on. And yeah, they made a 35th US game on Kreider, so I'm excited for it, as that has a lot of meme potential. And yeah, Bendover here on the left side, and on the right side in red, another 35th here.
Yeah, so 35th, we have seen it. It is the American National full-on reservist division, and it is a mechanized infantry division. I believe it is the reason why it has so many tanks and recon tanks is that it has a significant cavalry component, and in the American doctrine, the cavalry basically includes your recon tanks, the ACAV tanks that we're seeing here. So despite being a reserve division, it has a significant forward deployment component. And most of the time, it kind of has to rely on that. The reserve divisions have to play with all of their tools perfectly, because their units generally are not powerful enough to contest on their own. And with 35th, you also can, very importantly, get most of your units at veterancy 1. So even if they are reservists, they are still trained and will have the trained units' cohesion recovery. And if you have a military police nearby, these units will remove their reservist traits and then function as standard veterancy 1 units. So blowing up units, it's a very standard way to go with 35th. We have seen 35th being played a lot in close quarters, where their older generation weaponry, recoilless rifles, large amounts of infantry, and surprisingly large amounts of machine guns as well, at least with the National Guard's fire teams, whereas the standard National Guard's rifles only do have a single M60 machine gun, which is not that much. But why do you think we're seeing them on Kreider? Kreider is the new map. Kreider is the best new map, in my opinion. And and Kreider is pretty varied and versatile. Do you think there is any specific reason why they wanted to play 35th here, or is it just for the memes?
It's just for the memes. They wanted to play the new map, and they wanted to play 35th versus 35th, so Kreide is what they decided upon. And yeah, it's a interesting little opener that comes in here with a decent amount of M60s already on the right side, 2 M60s on the left side as well. So M60 on M60 brutality is going to happen here as the action is going in. We see Rolands on one side, on the other side AA is only Dusters here for ZX. So that is an interesting lack of air defense. Let's see if there's a fight or anything, as otherwise that could potentially maybe be exploited.
Yeah, so Bravo zone, which is kind of the landing zone area that you need to take over in the early game, in the opener. It's very difficult to attack it later on. Bendover is going there with most of their force, capturing the area between Charlie and Bravo, getting the high ground advantage, and putting them in a decent position to push both Charlie, the position, as well as northeast to cut down the reinforcement routes to Charlie. But ZXZ Vister, aka Jeremy, as I like to call him, so we can get both the names pronounced at once. is going full on into Charlie, onto the plateau. The ACAV tanks are opening fire, missing against the truck. NG Cav scouts are not revealing this because they are in a different building, but it's pretty clear what's happening here. Fighter plane, the good F-16 shotgun fighter with the 6 AIM-9M missiles coming out on both sides. And though only the Roland is really a real threat to the fighters, the Dusters, the flag tanks have really nice firepower, but their anti-aircraft range is so short that, well, I guess that's not a topic of discussion anymore. Both of the fighters kill each other. Jeremy is up on the plateau, and all the forces here, including the recon tanks, the flag tanks, the standard tanks, the MP patrols, and the infantry recon, are all providing a situation when if anybody sees the blob, or if the blob sees anybody, the blob can always kill just the somebody. Now, Bendover has most of their forces in a completely neutral location, because there is nobody is trying to push to Bravo outside of the single cavalry scouts recon team. So I have a feeling that Bendover could either do a mad dash straight onto Echo, try to cut off the reinforcement area before anybody else comes out there, sending out the ACAP. But Jeremy is recognizing the threat and is sending a bunch of his tanks down into the crossroads to prevent this from happening. That's if there was a single fast transport, just a truck, the truck could have done huge damage by transporting an infantry recon squad further northeast, and these tanks and the MP.
And the fight in the middle also went pretty good for Jeremy, but one important unit was lost, and that is the CV tank. Like, there only one ground unit died there for the red side, but it was the most important one. So a push towards Alpha currently is stopped, so backtracking here is the better decision. Like, otherwise I believe we would have seen a push into Alpha and Delta potentially as well, to just get the capture points, get the heavy take on, but that wasn't allowed because the CV died, so now pushing towards Bravo is the better move here. As KD-wise, I believe red side is pretty far ahead, so getting even further ahead is big, and getting the kill onto the LGB here is pretty important as well. Roland's at least get the revenge kill on the F-16, but the LGB, a really important tool here, crashing down.
Yeah, that was a worthy trade. The LGB could reliably remove the tanks, and M60s being so slow, they would not be able to get in cover without popping smoke. And the LGB plane, buying it out early is a significant investment. I believe it is maybe the highest tech, the most expensive unit in practice in relation that 35 gets. And immediately, if Jeremy now can get a really good engagement, can trade out a bunch of enemy units, I think there could be a permanent points lead. But on the attack, the National Guard's units are showing their weakness, a bunch of them getting routed, the forces in the cover getting better engagements. Tank rate of fire not fast enough, especially not when it's cut down to 40% via low cohesion. So the red units are moving back into supply, and the blue units, I think, with the NG Rifles Dragon, is going to face the Duster. If they can get the Duster, they can also get the TOW2, and if they can get the TOW2, they can also get into town and into some of those buildings up on the plateau. So this might... Oh, the Duster gets stunned by the Dragon! Now the Dragon will most likely take this engagement here, but...
F111 class 9, that's a good unit. There for this position, gets a decent amount of kills, gets out alive. The Roland's not quite on range to do any harm there. And yeah, the Duster versus the Dragon in the forest, still going on. Dragon hasn't gotten the kill yet. Truster is super stressed out and not really accurate at this point either, so both sides' damage is pretty limited, and the M60 Rise does get the job done in the end. So yeah, Bravo heavily in favor of Ben, the rest of the map in favor of Jeremy here. And that is an interesting position to be at, as the center zone really fully captured, and if you control the north, you can reinforce into Charlie over the open field still. Like, it is a bit clunky, but it absolutely does work, so the position here for Jeremy, not the worst, even with Bravo in the hands of Ben.
a vetted up AT plane goes and takes out something, but the Dusters are just a little bit too slow in their aiming. They don't have recon, so their aim time is significantly higher. It's double that of a recon equipped anti-air gun, so the Dusters just did not even manage to do suppression over the plane that flew over them. The Red forces are organizing into kind of a containment battle around the Blue forces on Bravo. A recon plane is actually coming in here. The recon planes armed with both a regular and smoke rockets. See if the smoke rockets get utilized here. They will not get the chance. The Roland is simply too good. Some fancy Eurotech getting used here. Somebody in the American procurement corruption bureaucracy didn't want the Roland 3 to be adopted widely enough, so they pushed it back on some backwater reservist units to use. But yeah, in practice, this is a defensive game for Jeremy, with the weakest position being up there on the plateau. So I think keeping up this attack, even if the attacks are not going to be perfect, keeping up the attack on Bravo is still a decent idea, because it will pull away reinforcements that could be used to actually attack the weak position on Charlie. And now a second attack is moving out there with NG rifles going up in front, with tow cobra and another bombing run coming out here. These are cluster bombs, so they're not immediately great against the infantry. And yeah, the cluster. I doubt they take the F-111 HE, because it's not a great plane. But those bombing runs left a little bit to be desired. Enough tanks are now moving up the plateau here that this is becoming sort of an emergency for the Reds. There is also a tank and a Duster combo moving up the highway area. I like to call this the Hell's Highway, as a reference to the movie A Bridge Too Far, because it is a place where people do these armored rushes, but get stopped every few hundred meters. Because the areas are very coverable. If those three units can challenge the crossroads where the NG Cav Scouts Law are, they can open up another front and basically provide recon from the other side, permanently taking this map control away. But it seems like that's not even necessary here for Bendover. Bendover just out DPSing this.
Ooh, and we have two napalm planes coming in here against the infantry blob. Not a big fan of napalm planes in general, but they work against infantry, and the infantry of Jeremy on the right here is pretty clustered, so the napalm lands perfectly. M60 gets killed off by the AT Phantom as well, and there is still no Roland AA here on the battlefield. It's only Dusters. That is not working out so well, and the infantry and the tanks here all getting burned up on the open field, whilst the blue attack into Charlie is working pretty well, as the few remaining forces of Charlie just don't have, Jeremy don't have the reach here to really do anything. The tow cobras being pushed back by the amazing range of the Rolands, and the F-16C AA goes down to that as well, so troublesome situation here for the red side now.
Yeah, the attacks getting mowed down by these vetted up NG engineers and NG rifles troops. They also have the military police buff. They have the leader buff. They are already Vet 1. They are basically functioning as Vet 2 standard units with the MP bonus on top of it. So they have elite cohesion recovery at this point. There was no way that a straight up one-on-one fight could have broken through there. Bendover setting up a really nice combination of units, and the bomber is just not doing enough, not really. I think investment into artillery could have broken through that, but I think Jeremy was looking to get a breakthrough to cut off the route to north, and that was not going to happen with the amount of troops defending. Right now, the ACAVs are trading fire, but this is a significantly tempo moment for Bendover. Bendover taking out the LGB2 and getting a kill on the only red tank on the plateau right now. Second F-111 cluster plane coming out here for the red side, dropping on top and taking out both an MP car and a tank, but still the numerical superiority will likely still be on the blue side for the moment. The Reds invested way much into the bad attacks.
And it's also mostly a game won in the air in my eyes, as blue side's air is getting through, and red side's air is getting stopped by 2 Rolands. So the lack of investment into Rolands on the right side is a bit confusing to me. Like, why it was more Dusters and now some National Guard Stingers instead of some actually capable AA, as those planes of blue just came in time and time again and have dealt some damage. Yes, there was some trading with some fighters, but that was mostly one-to-one trades in planes there, whilst the red planes got shot down by the Rolands pretty nicely, and that allowed blue here to now roll forward with vehicles and also just come in time and again and just annihilate any infantry out in the open without having to fear to lose their planes, because there's just nothing that can shoot at them. And this is a pretty tough situation now for red side to actually recover from, as we are on a slow +1 for blue, and the tank force is now coming up again, but they will just be hit by AT and LGB once more once they arrive on the front line, if they don't get better AA cover.
Yeah, this position here, I understand wanting to do the counterattack and buying 4 tanks and a leader out there. That's a normal response, but you already know that your enemy is heavily invested into planes and has at current moment 2 planes up top here. Seed plane is coming out and trying to take out those Rolands. The Rolands are not getting microed for the moment, but they do shoot down F-16 AA2
Oh
with its amazing
no! And it gets the F-111 cluster as well. Yeah, this is disaster. There's no air compartment basically on the side of Jeremy anymore. The red side is out of strike aircraft, whilst the blue side has 5 or 6 of them going around. The AT planes, 1 LGB, napalm planes, all of that comes around, and there's nothing here to protect against that. M60 gets killed off. The F4Fs come with 4 of those Mavericks that can one-shot the M60s on the ground, so they can easily decimate the numbers here. Finally, the Rolands get bought, but they might just be too late, as another M60, another Duster go down, and this is a really, really tough situation.
He had them? He had the Rolands. I thought he didn't have them. Those are, I mean, they are 140-point units, but they are some of the best AA units in the game, even with the National Guard debuff. Just having one of them there could have completely changed the amount of planes that have been operating here. I want to note that the Maverick missiles of the F4 Phantom are not the good ones. They're not the D missiles. These are the B missiles, so they have only 301,000 meter range, and I think like 50% max accuracy, or accuracy at max range. Right now, tank firepower taking out the last infantry here for Jeremy. There's a single recon man keeping up the front line for the tanks. The tanks are currently in a, how do you say this in English? A hole. They are under the line of sight visibility, so they cannot keep up the front line. The front line is kept up by the cavalry scouts, who then communicates with the tanks who can open up. Now the tanks are getting into range, but 2 TOW Cobras spot them immediately. And despite there being Dusters are not up there to fire at the TOW Cobras.
Yeah,
maybe the Stingers here could do something.
The Rolands are now here, but the Blues' defense line is already pretty strong. We have an 837 napalm coming around. That most likely is going to go down here with the amount of Stingers and Rolands. Yes, so finally a kill, but an M60 and the CV go down at the same time. So still not a win here for red side. And red needs a lot of wins in a row here to turn this game around, as the situation is looking pretty grim.
Yeah, the reservist divisions lack in these sorts of moments. If they get outplayed, their units cannot carry them. There are no units you can micro well enough here. There's no T-80UD or a Strike Eagle or something that can, or an Apache that you use to give you a force multiplier. You just really need to have the force out there, and the force doesn't. It's, first of all, it's quite difficult to build when you're constantly under air attack, but your enemy is gonna keep on building, and your enemy having the better positions and not having to attack really unless they want to can just keep up this air advantage, and they've already bought an M110 super heavy howitzer, which will likely start firing at the AA next time a plane tries to do a flyby.
Yeah, M60s and Cavs coming in here, but there's enough M60s on the other side. There are all those planes in the sky, LGB, two AT planes. All of that might even be too much for the Rolands, because Rolands have one issue, is that they only have two ready missiles. Once they fire those two, they have a bit of a reload time until they can fire again. So if you fly in a couple of planes, chances are there is a window of opportunity where some of your planes get their attacks through. So a push for red side still is a tough ask here, even just based on the air compartment. And when you look at the M60 number difference here, it's pretty massive. And I feel like we might even see Ben just setting up for a massive push into Echo to finish this game off here before Jeremy gets any more chance of recovering and recuperating the situation.
Yeah, the smokes are going to, even if they don't really achieve anything, the smokes basically force the enemy to micro all of their units at the threat of an enemy attack. And now the howitzer is firing right at the CEVs, getting some nice hits as well. Yeah, the smokes are an excellent psychological unit at this point, because if you smoke down the enemy recon, the enemy will have to do micro to reposition their recon. This means you might, first of all, you might spot something, and you might take the enemy's attention away from the stuff that you're actually doing. The just standing around when your enemy puts a smoke wall in front of you is just not something you can really do. You have to do something about it. And right now in this defensive formation, putting out a little mental pressure is a good idea. There are more rises, more TOW2s are coming out there. 50% reload through for the M110, and a command tank going up there and most likely kind of trying to push northeast into Foxtrot. Still quite surprised that this crossroad area has not been taken. I think Bendover has so much information and understanding of where the enemy's points have gone that at this point it would be good for him to do a little bit of poking and prodding around to find out if the northern side of the map is mostly defended by ghosts, as it is. But why mess with something that's going well? The central decisive battle is going well, so it's not really a crime to keep doing that.
Yeah, F111 cluster comes in here, flies directly over the Rolands. That's usually not a winning strategy, as it gets shut down here in the end. Yeah, the cluster doesn't quite recuperate on the ground either, as it gets a bit of damage but no kills. So another important tool lost for the red side without any achievement for it. And the situation here is looking pretty grim here. And as I said, it's mostly down to the air. Like the ground engagements, we had some back and forth early in the game. We had some back and forth in the south. We had some back and forth in the center. There were some good trades there for red, actually, but the air trades were all pretty bad, both in losses taken to AT planes and in losses in plane frames on the red side versus losses in frames on the blue side. And that is a pretty tough situation to recover from. Like, the only way I see here is maybe one big tank fight that you take with enough AA cover and that you somehow micro your way through. But with reservist trade and so on, taking a long fight is not that easy to do with 35th.
Yeah, it's difficult to attack with 35th because despite the vision of the 1960s, 1970s, World War III, where you have hundreds of tanks lining up in these massive cinematic battles, this is still not the way you want to play this division, because these patterns are 40 kph. They are too slow. any sort of ATGM, even weak ATGM, even TOW ones will trade upwards against the TOWs very efficiently. The TOWs are going to take a long time to reach the target. I mean the M60s, the patterns. They are going to take even longer to escape the target because they will be under fire and they will lose cohesion. Their reservist trait means that they will lose cohesion faster, so the attacker has significant debuff. The defender, of course, can get themselves in cover and engage at their own will, and then the constant smoke barrage that can cut off your unit's reload and their aim time. There's just so many things working against Jeremy here, and I think we will see why modern tank doctrine moved into smaller, faster, more independent main battle tanks instead of these 70s cavalry tactics we're seeing here.
Yeah, the M60 plop is now coming in, so that is going to be interesting if it has some chance of working. Issue is the mortars got killed off, and a good smoke play is absolutely vital if you want to pull off a push like this. So being out of any mortars because they just got murdered is pretty rough, and replacement is coming in, but the MR10 there on Bendover's side did good targeting. Also, only one of the Rolands is still around in the north, one is further back in the south, so the AA coverage is not amazing either, but we have a lot of M60s here, together with the Cavs pushing forward. Only a couple of infantry units for the recon part, but that is okay. But here comes the first TOW 2, and the Cav don't have smoke. So them being the furthest forward unit is a problem, and here comes the planes. Oh no, including a seed plane even. So one of the Rolands go down, only one F4AT goes down, second Roland gets nuked by the LGB, and that means 3 kills now for the rest of the planes here, as the AA coverage is pretty low. One F-16 trying to come around, gets actually the seed plane shut down, but gets shut down.
In a row.
Yeah. Gets this kill there, but gets shut on
F-16
after.
AA2. Yeah, the F-16 AA2 is unironically an amazing plane. Like it's gotten so many results here, even against high ECM planes.
Yeah, and there comes the M60 push, but half of them are already massively stressed out, and they are not coordinated enough. There is too many ATGMs flying around. No ATGMs here with this push really, outside of one TOW 2, and obviously being the aggressive user of ATGMs is a lot harder than being the defensive user. So all of this is not going well for red side, and it seems like blue might move on here as slot number 1. Bendover getting first slot in the group most likely, as this game is not really moving anywhere.
Yeah, it's just there is a concave. There are a lot of support units that are constantly being used. The attacker is concentrated into a very thin wedge, and the wedge is completely covered by million ATGMs and recon units, and there are a bunch of air units that can punish any breakthroughs, especially because the breakthroughs will most likely not come with the red side having air superiority. So this is the final showdown here, which mostly is a showdown on how bad the patterns are. Not a lot of other showing here.
Yeah, the M60 is just really struggling to push forward. They got a bit cheaper lately, so 35 got helped out a bit, but yeah, the situation against the TOW 2s is not a good one. And the amount of TOW Cobras there not helping the situation either. CV gets in there to stop the tick, but it's Jeremy who has to follow up here, ZX Zivister, who needs to get out and get more points on the battlefield right now, and that's just not going to happen. Like, if it would be a defensive battle for red side, I would say, and red side would have the point advantage, maybe there's something possible here, but that's not the case. The napalm plane coming in here, AA numbers are really low. Stingers actually at least get that one, but seed plane on the red side died, and the M60 numbers are down to 2 by now, so the situation here is really, really dire, and there we go. GG being called, and we see Bendover moving on his first slot in this group in Division 2 after this pretty fun Decisive match. I when they told me about the matchup, I was like, I have to cover this. And yeah, this is the group stage in the end, with Bendover just getting in there as first place.
Yeah, that map really was won with map control. Positions won that map. Every single engagement that happened, the blue side had managed to get a positional firepower advantage. Whether it be fighting against the infantry attacks at the southern side, whether it be with engaging the plateau with a very limited force and limited angle that allowed them to hold fire superiority over the defenses, and whether it be the fact that by the time the counterattacks started happening up on the plateau, the positions, the front line was so wide that there was no way that this thin wedge of tanks could do enough damage or move fast enough or spot enough things. In every way, I think we proved that you can with good enough infantry recon and infantry usage and good enough positioning and map knowledge, you can just absolutely decimate your opponents, even in a mirror matchup.
Yeah, and that brings us to the next series, where we will go into Division 1, where it is Group C that interests us, as WoW and Fortitude fans both still have a chance for first place in the group. But if WoW wins, Fortitude fans has to go into a decider match against your Finnish comrade, Cielo Skunta. And that would be interesting as well. So, obviously, if they get a draw, if they get any point for Fortitude, Fortitude moves on at least as second place, and if he wins, he can still take the top here from Row. So a pretty important match for Group C as well. So short break, guys, and then we're gonna go back into that. This group stage here is crawling to a close here. The last day of group stage today, and so here we go, everybody. Division 1 action. And it's a really important match. If WoW wins this first map, they are for sure through as first place. And if WoW wins the whole series, Fortitude fans will have to get into a decider game. So Fortitude just wants to at least get one draw in this series to move on. And we're gonna see how that happens. It's not gonna be made easy by playing 35th, though at least Urban Frontlines is maybe the best map for this bad division. We're gonna see about that. As on the other side, though, interesting pick as well with the fourth mech of the Polish. Usually not a great division either, though its major weakness is the lack of penetration. But against maximum level M60s, you don't need the highest penetration levels on the battlefield. So in this matchup, it might actually be quite decent.
Yeah, I'm looking at the deployments here, and you can see the WoW is going to start this out with a reasonably aggressive recon special forces deployment. Both the BRDM one radar recon cars that will take out the will take positions in the sidelines, and then the Ros Specialne taking two very crucial towers. I believe this recon is kind of supposed to work in tandem with two forces, one of them being the helicopters, the Mi-2 URPG Nievosh, which are the Strela and Malyutka and cannon armed light helicopters, as well as the small group of 4 T-55 tanks, including a Merida leader. So I think what WoW is going to do here, WoW is going to try to do here, is to take maximum recon coverage and then methodically move around and try to engage the more numerous enemy. And knowing that the enemy is most likely going to, especially Fortitude defense on this map, is going to blob. They're going to blob in the middle. The BRDM ones on the sides and the helicopters will be able to kind of get map knowledge and map coverage on the sides, allowing WoW to quickly capture these side points and thus apply pressure to the blob, even if WoW can't challenge the blob immediately on the middle. And forward deployment tanks, enough large recon infantry squads. There are ITOs there to prevent bombers. There are dusters to provide fire support and anti-heli, as well as the CEVs. to efficiently remove any sorts of weapons teams. So engaging on the middle, WoW really doesn't want to do that on Fortitude's terms. And I think the T-55, the T-55AS, which is the mine-launching one, is also in action here. I think the tanks were chosen to fight against this the blob for this exact reason, that there is so much HE damage out there. And the M60s, despite having better range than the T-55s and slightly better armor than the T-55s, are still pretty expensive. The 120 points for reservist tanks, if you're choosing the TTS, the thermal sight variant, whereas the standard T-55A is not a reservist tank and is like 30 points cheaper. Now, all of those tanks were just cancelled by WoW. WoW instead choosing to buy AA guns and fagots, and these might work out, especially in the early game. Okay, the tanks are still coming in, but they are going to be mixed up with the fagot weapons teams. I think the idea here is that they're going to sacrifice a few tanks so that the tanks will have a place to retreat to if the enemy gets a good engagement and tries to follow them up.
Yeah, the one good thing about the M60s, and they can disengage. The T-55 can't disengage. It doesn't have smoke. Both are pretty slow tanks. The T-55 actually slightly faster, but yeah, the M60 has a slight rate of fire advantage, has an accuracy advantage, has a slight pen, and a slight armor advantage in the matchup against the normal T-55A. Though against Merida, the situation looks different, as they have way better armor once they come around. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see those tank engagements here, as they are pretty equal. That is for sure. And we also have all those specialities here in the Honkers. And the Honkers are special forces, making them move extra fast. So you can get a bit cheeky with the deployments you get. And this just picket line of helicopters is going to be pretty interesting as well.
There's a unit I've never seen in the game before, and that is the Recon MTLB Tri-Horse with the 50 cal AA equipped machine gun. Like, this is the Tri-Horse is transporting the Sapersis Zjadovci that I think are generally ordered in with trucks for obvious early game reasons. But I guess it's nice to have another good optics unit with a 50 cal in these parts.
Yeah, it has smoke as well, unlike the normal MTLBs, so it is pretty capable. And
that's nice.
The Honkers here now moving forward can be what I did with the Tri-Horse is matching it with my T-55 so that I have some smoke in there, whilst also giving them good optics. But yeah, that they are currently just trying to push deep into the enemy side here. F-16 coming in. Can the AA helicopters get a kill on it? No, they get some hits. Oh, actually! Oh, the caster curse! The caster curse coming in. Two helicopters going down, but the Mi-2s take their revenge, and the Strelas get the kill there. Really important kill.
Poland strong. That's amazing. Taking out the AA2 right there. That's a big hit on their anti-air power.
And yeah, Honkers and Specialis are trying to still get in here, but the big M60 blob has something to say about that, so I don't think WoW wants to commit any further here. The Tri-Horse already disengaging a bit. The Sapersi is still going in there, but WoW got what WoW wanted, and that is pushing the middle line a bit over the edge and getting basically full control of center here. So the situation is still pretty fine in that regard. But the question is, what will Fortitude now do with the M60 blob?
I think we can see WoW, Honker Rus and Rospecialne are moving southeast towards Anna. I think pushing Boris and Anna are smart, is smart for at this moment for WoW, knowing that would force Fens to once again move around their units. Move the blob from the northern side to southern side. Oh, the Rospecialne getting a nice hit on the command tank actually before getting taken out.
Oh, and the cluster gets only a scav, so not super impactful here. Ihawk not able to get a shot on target here in return though. This map, AA struggles to get line of sights. With all the high-rise buildings around, They sometimes just struggle to align their shots onto planes because the area and the airspace in front of them is blocked. So getting good space for AA pieces like Ihawks can be somewhat tough here without having to put them super out in the open, which is not great either. So yeah, Ihawk there struggling a bit.
Yeah, WoW is buying veterans two T-55s to push up the right side where the Zapere Ziadovci are holding the line. I think that is quite smart, considering WoW has also bought infantry to push Boris, and right now the Spec Ops are moving to get recon coverage over Boris. Meanwhile, WoW was firing again at the middle here. Something was stunned.
Yeah, and WoW is completely ignoring the captures game in the early game here. Like, only buying CVs now, but fully working on getting the space covered first. Taking these couple of extra points into some helicopters, into some extra infantry units early on. And that got a slight 200-point lead here for Fortitude fans, but as Fortitude didn't capture their rear point zones super fast either, it's still a pretty small lead that can be caught up quite quickly by WoW taking all the zones they currently have control over.
Yeah, so the gunships, helicopter gunships, as well as helicopter recon are moving into counter WoW's infantry incursion. There's also a Duster that opens fire at the Los Specialne. So some kind of, there is anti-air, but it is just far enough, the Yod AA gun that is moving to southeast. And WoW, I think, needs to get a fighter plane here. No, actually, the infantry is running away. They are not wanting to take this engagement. And the Gnievosh, with 2 Strelas left, is moving in to maybe allow them to engage the gunships on the Pole's terms. But now a tank, Duster, AA, all of them are moving into cover at Boris. So pushing into Boris, most likely not going to happen here. The way better for WoW to try to get Anna while Anna is still possible. The tanks in the right side have arrived, but they are not really doing anything. I think both players' micro attention is going down south right now.
Yes, and they also would be risky to push with, as I said, they don't have smoke. T-55's not good at getting out of situations. And the Dragon Recon here in the south actually doing a pretty good job. It's a 8-man squad that is pretty cheap, 45 points. They killed the BMP-1 infantry coming in. They stopped the whole situation here from getting any further. And the gunships should be able to clean this out now. They're scared of the Me Too, but the Me Too is down now. So yeah, there is now potential to get in there. SC-22 cluster, hawking around in the rear again. Ihawk only able to stress it out so far. No hit there, but there it gets the hit. SC-22 out for a while now, and the gunships should be able to clean this out. Well, there is a set UR-23 coming up with the Strelas on top, the yacht variant. So actually, the gunships need to be fast here before that can kill them off and push them back.
The yacht is behind the forest, so it's right in a bad position, but it could take a shot against the A-37, and it does get a hit against this light bomber that did not manage to destroy the AT squad, but made it combat ineffective.
Yes, the Cav scouts could now push the whole situation. The Merida has to be careful in getting in there. Meanwhile, at first artillery piece here with an M109. I'm surprised we see the M109 instead of immediately going for the M110 on the side of Fortitude fans here. As the Merida has the advantage absolutely against the National Guard M60. Like, it has better frontal armor and it has way less.
It has a kill now.
And yeah, it gets the kill there. Gunships being pushed back as well. F-111 LGB though coming in. And with the air superiority, gets the bomb off, and that's the Merida gone. There we go. LGB, fantastic hit there. Could maybe even go for a second kill somewhere. Currently the AA situation here for WoW not great. But there come the OSAs. Just lately buffed in availability, so that's a nice one as well. Yod, the next target here, gets smacked as well. LGB does its job, gets the hell out of here.
Yeah, the I think the M109 buy instead of the M110 artillery buy is because they were targeting weapons teams, and the ranges are pretty small here, so it's better value if you're gonna just try to kill recon squads or fagots. But I think the M110 investment at that point is a little bit too much. But still, Fence has not managed to solidly take the zone. The only firepower here really are the gunships, and the gunships needs to be very careful because there's a line of Strelas that'll happily open fire at them if they try to get too close.
Yeah, the Strelas do miss here, so the gunship gets the job done, gets the kill, can get the hell out of there. 2 M60s coming down here, but there is a T-55 rolling in here as well, and it's thanks to the VD-43, currently a Vet 3 T-55A here against reservist M60s. It's at least up-vetted reservist M60s, and they have the range advantage, but they need to be careful in closer engagements. They get the first shot off though, and I think this T-55 is done for. That's MiG-21 threes here, flying around. iHawk struggling to get a shot, struggling to get the kill. T-55 goes down, but the gunships are able to land as well. But the second iHawk will come around here to push these guys back. Oh no! The UEs with the dragons in the rear. Okay, they will make it most likely as the iHawks push the MiG-23s back now, stressing them out, hitting one, and might even get a kill on the second one. No further missiles here, so the MiG-23s will make it out alive for now.
The
Oh,
T-55.
T-55. Yeah, that's a weird push. Without any recon, just running in there. One of them already went down. The other ones are hunting down a UE supply helicopter, but they run just directly into the enemy fire here. There's 2 M60s. The T-55's getting stressed out by an M67. There is an ITO firing at them as well, so these T-55s are in for some really risky business here.
Yeah, WoW bought artillery, the World War II era ML20 guns in the back line here, but with very slow rate of fire and very nice damage for the price. But neither of those planes are currently firing, and the cluster plane cleaning up the T-55 push there. I think WoW did have something going on outside of the ACAV. If 2v1, they could have engaged the ACAV first. That could have maybe gone out decently, but WoW obviously still wants to keep up the push, buying 3 more tanks as well as 2 more infantry squads to push it. And I think WoW kind of realizes this is a reasonably soft target. I think that push might have been inspired by WoW's aircraft seeing where the enemy units and reinforcements were going to, because there is a lot of stuff for Fortitude at the southern part of the map. So, there has to be a place that is free of enemies. Aito getting taken out by the howitzers.
Yeah, the iHawks have to be careful with that as well, as Fortitude is starting to get control back over the south. Doesn't have a CV right there right now to retake it though, so the +3 most likely is going to push WoW soon ahead in points, and the center is still pretty secure as well. At least space-wise, though the forces there are not all that strong. A lot of T-55s have gone down here lately, and the M60 numbers for sure is better, though it's not amazing either. Like, both sides having quite a good amount of defensive units, the offensive capabilities on both sides are somewhat lacking.
Yeah, I think on close ranges, the T-55s will trade up. I think their better veterancy means that they're most likely going to shoot first, and they are cheap enough that if they trade up against the M60s, that'll be a points lead for WoW. WoW's infantry is also better, and WoW has been buying the infantry in small amounts, and WoW also has a Mi-24V gunship helicopter defending the area that Fortitude just is kind of moving into. So if Fortitude wants to dash through into Fedor, into the currently reasonably undefended point, there will be both a recon BRDM-1 as well as the very heavily armed helicopter that can take those units out on long range. So WoW most likely kind of giving up on Anna right now, wanting to push back into the Elena point happening right now.
Yeah, we see a good couple of T-55s, including one Merida there. But the other side comes in with reinforcements as well. A Rise and a Cav, M40 recoilless rifle, some Cav Dragons. And yeah, and a lot of M109s. And it's kind of interesting to see both sides do kind of struggle with the higher penetration power. Like, it's still a good bit better for Fortitude Fence, but the best T-55 is also better frontal armor-wise than his best M60s, so uh, it's going to be interesting as both tanks actually can survive a decent amount here compared to other games where you see a lot of O2s and Milan 2s and so on flying around, which make the life expectancy of a T-55 a lot shorter. Ooh, Recon ACAV gets the first shot there. One of the T-55s gets hit. The other is moving back though before it can get shot another time, and yeah, we see a decent amount of forces here setting up for the push. LGB coming in though. Ooh, gets one T-55, but here we go. OSARs are in the line, so the LGB has to be careful. I don't think you want to bring it around a second time here at this stage, but I'm not Fortitude fans. Fortitude fans coming in with another one. Oh, but the F6 111 goes way too deep here. Strela might finish it off. Osas get another 2 missile off, but they don't get the hit. F111 cluster coming for the Osa. Oh, this could be big, but good reaction from Vo, realizing immediately what happens there, and I believe they both get out alive. Yes, one gets stunned, but both get out alive. The F111 cluster move not working out there. Quick reaction by Vo, super important.
Yeah, OSAS have maximum road speed at 100 and 65 off-road speed. They also have, importantly, pretty nice acceleration. So that is one of the things that you are paying for when you pay for an OSA, is the ability to play against that sort of stuff. The Piechota SVD are getting under attack here and retreating. The Fortitude buying more engineer infantry and kind of wanting to push back a little bit at the town fight here. If you look at the machine guns on the NG Cav Scouts, you will see that they have M60s. The rate of fire, the most important stat, is 214. If you look at the Saperzi, which is also a singular medium machine gun, but the Saperzi does not have the older generation weapon debuff and the National Guard's debuff or the zero vet debuff. So the PKM fires at 290 rate of fire. In practice, the amount of suppression that they can do is just massive. The Polish infantry completely outclassing, even with their light weaponry, completely outclassing the Americans here. So the Americans need to rely on both the numerous howitzers here as well as tanks staying alive. WoW has been trying to and successfully engaging the M60s with a number of high-vet, cheaper tanks. Merida right now opening fire against the M60 Rise, and I think these numerically superior engagements are really dangerous for Fortitude Defense, because if they allow WoW to gain a momentary tank superiority, WoW knows how to exploit that. And if the tanks, lose their number for the Americans, the Polish infantry can not necessarily walk through, but pretty easily fight through these zero-vet reservists.
Yeah, we see a lot of National Guards with M67s coming up, though, and if you can resupply them, they can swing infantry fights actually quite quickly. They can also protect themselves a bit against the T-55s. They don't deal amazing damage in those engagements, but they at least stun them, push them back, damage them a bit. So they can help out your tanks swing the engagement, but yeah, Fortitude fans now needs to use the advantage of his tanks, that is the smoke, and get the hell out of there, whilst the National Guards, oh no, they need to get out! One of them already going down in transport, the second one dying in transport as well. This is a big disaster. Those 3 units with a lot of hit points could have been a nice sponge here, helping out to reduce the time until the next bomber can come around, but instead they went down here. Seedplane gets a kill onto the OSA. Cluster and LGB are back, and oh my goodness, this cluster is looking good. Yes, 4 T-55s down. The F-111s get out. One of the OSAs down as well, and this is what Fortitude fans needed to do. LGB comes around for the Merida as well, and there goes the tank push of Woe Is Me.
Oh, the humanity, or should I say, woe the humanity. Heko. But yeah, the OSA running out of ammunition at there, showing at how much work they are being put under. 2 more Yod AA gun Strela combos are coming out there, but the Fortitude is willing to kind of get back into the tempo of this game with this large infantry push of NG engineers happening southern side of the middle. There are no proper infantry squads here outside of 2 reinforcements of Persi. And helicopters are being ordered in mass. These are the rocket-armed helicopters.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
T-55s coming in there to follow that up, but at the same time, Fortitude fans finally coming up with the attack in the south. A couple of M60s helping out a decent amount of infantry here, trying to push through, but the Scots and the BRDMs in good spots, helping out the couple of infantry units here of Woe to hold the line. And one of the great things about the Polish is their Saperzi, because they have normal engineering capabilities here with having shock, having a satchel charge, but they also have an AT weapon. It's not great, but it is an AT weapon. At the same time, the second row T-55 line in the north actually starts to push through, gets an M60 here. Fortitude fans not really focusing on that spot and loses a lot to the Meridas here that push through. 1 Merida goes down, but they get the M60 rise. They get all the gunships as well that were landed there, and even capture the landed UH supply. So yeah, the first line was stopped, but the second line of 3 T-55s just beelining for it actually did work out here, as the planes of Fortitude fans still reloading right now. A couple of A-37s coming in for the push in the south. Oh my goodness, 3 Me-2s just getting annihilated by a single Eye-Hawk hit there. And the A-37s demolish a lot of infantry here as well, so the southern push actually works out quite well. The northern cluster not hitting its bombing run. But yeah, the question is, does the southern push of Fortitude help him win this game, or does he lose too much in the north right now to really recover this situation and the disadvantage in points?
Woe's reinforcements here are not fit to counter this attack. Losing those helicopters, there's a massive issue. There's only 2 OSAs that were ordered, and only now 4 Piechota Piechota SBD, the better ones, are ordered in to hold the middle. But I think Woe recognizes this is a full-on collapse of the middle defenses. The helicopters were supposed to slow it down enough for more reinforcements to arrive. And right now, Woe kind of has to immediately do some shock and awe tactics. They need to abuse their map control and their ability to get into the back points and try to engage the middle as little as possible. Going out there and trying to recapture middle right now, instead of doing containment with your AA guns and your tanks and your recon, will give Fortitude fans the perfect blob engagements. And looking at this, the Meridas are moving moving a little bit backwards. I think they are trying to do a Elena and Fedor containment, basically, to surround the middle position from as many sides as possible, not even trying to get into Dimitri, not even trying to, or at least not the infantry, not tank rushing there. Maybe the infantry will start walking towards. So not doing the shock tactic, instead playing it safe. The howitzers are firing against the infantry that's moving into the buildings, and in a moment the reinforcements will be there. And they will be able to fight off the NG engineers as long as the engineers don't have their fire support available.
Yeah, we have M67 still on them though, and they still have a couple of rounds, but yeah, you want to keep supply close to them so that they always have the 8 rounds of M67s around to get some extra HE out of there. The 2 engineer leaders here now coming in to start capture the center and get the tick back into blue side's favor here, into Fortitude's favor. But the whole situation in the north is worrisome. The potential of Woe just collapsing onto Dimitri is there, trying to maybe shut down some Eye-Hawks and the M109s in the rear. But the air advantage of Fortitude is real. The kill on the OSAs was pretty important in the north. A couple of OSAs have been replaced again. There are 3 of them here in the center now. So air strikes in the center might be pretty suicidal at this stage. The A-37s are coming in now. They hit previously known positions, the bombing will not be the most efficient, and they get one-shotted by these OSAs, so A37 run here, not the greatest. All three go down. LGB, though, coming in for one of the OSAs. Cluster coming in for the others, but both seem to miss here. OSA's just too agile to get shut down by that, and this play didn't work out at all for Fortitude, wasting 3 planes and the reload time on the other 2 to try to get some kills here on the OSAS. Finally gets one of them, but loses the LGB plane for it as well. And the second LGB plane not quite there to follow it up. OSAS are low, but they are still around. And the next LGB will be pushed back. The airplay here not working out. It even gets shut down. Oh no, this is disaster. Those were the units supposed to win the game here for Fortitude fans, and they are all gone now. So this is pretty tough.
Yeah, this future engagement here, Fortitude already pulling down some of the units that are captured Fedor, leaving WoW into a position to march back here, as long as there are no serious tank forces defending Fedor from recapture. 2 more T-55s, the upvetted ones moving down here and trying to engage those tanks. It has worked so well for WoW, investing in numbers and veterancy. They has been getting them a lot of results here, and the Piekota Shmek being standard units with a lot of fire support as well as a lot of weaponry. They if they can hold these engagements under tank support, under artillery support, under occasional helicopter support, I think that WoW can win this, even though the numbers seem to be on Fortitude's side. Though it doesn't mean that WoW cannot overextend, doesn't mean that Fortitude has artillery that is not aiming right now, and a single artillery salvo could change significantly, take out the 2 Piekota Shmek.
Yeah, we see T-55s here now pushing back into the center. We have a +1 currently going on for Fortitude. Fortitude trying to get a bit of damage going in the north with some M60s just pushing through there. And the cluster bomber actually might be able to get one more good run, but it's in a tough time here. Yeah, gets 2 T-55s. Strella's firing at it. Not able to get it down, so the F-111 will be coming around one more time later on. Seaplane coming around in the rear here as well. That's maybe the unit that Fortitude should have waited for earlier when he tried to get the OSAs. As combined with that, he should have been able to get them, but instead now all LGB bombers are down, and the counter push is in full swing here now. With the infantry engagements, as you said earlier, it's just way better for the Polish.
Yeah, Poles are a really nice division in this matchup, because the Polish infantry is generally mediocre. It's cheap enough that you can get it in mass, and you can even the units are cheap and numerous that you can get them in high veterancy. But in most matchups, that high veterancy isn't enough to break through the technological or the unit quality barrier. But here it absolutely is. The just standard Polish units, even with the older generation weaponry, are just superior, and they don't trade down as badly as as other divisions would. Go and try to play basically any other division than 4th Shmek, and your units are going to be more expensive, which means that the relative numbers advantage will be even better for 35th. Now, Fortitude is pushing up to the point of Elena with a pretty significant amount of troops. All the tanks were moved away to counterattack the middle, and there's only a single Piekota SVD doing some damage on the tank, so this needs to be counterattacked. But if this decisive battle in the middle gets won by WoW, that the side attack will not be as relevant. The Meridas are pushing in here to the neighborhood, taking out a Duster, now getting into the soft underbelly of the enemy. The CEV fires and does absolutely no damage with AE gun. TOW 2 getting taken out by the Merida line. Meridas are finally out there on force. These are the Polish modernized tanks with really nice accuracy.
One went down earlier, but it's still 4 of them, supported by one T-55AS that can potentially use its rockets here to take out an ATGM position or so as well. The howitzers didn't get killed by the counter batteries, so they took out the ITO. Another ITO just went down elsewhere as well, so that is a pretty tough situation, and the M60s just don't win this matchup on their own. They are okay when they get supported, but they don't win it on their own, and they don't have real support around anymore. The cluster bomber did its job, but it will take a while to come around again. There's no tow cobras or anything that can help out, and all the HGM teams are taken out, so yep, M60s here without military police, super stressed out, and the Meridas here doing their job.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that WoW only bought out the best tanks in number after a really bad air engagement for Fortitude. After Fortitude got hit and lost a bunch of those LGB planes and cluster planes, that was when suddenly the best equipment was on board. That's really nice play from WoW, maximizing the minimizing the chance of something catastrophic happening. Meanwhile, Fortitude is moving a mechanized force up northeast. This has been challenged by the AA guns, but the AA guns targeting ground units actually didn't get that great of a fire against the recon planes, thus giving Fortitude enough information that they can just basically break through here. The Mi-24V gunship is in a great position, but it is not supported by any anti-air, so as the planes are gonna push up here. Is WoW landing the plane? The heli? WoW is landing it, though it gets rocket struck.
Yeah, that was not the right move there against the 0837 recon planes. It actually should have stayed in the air, would have taken less damage as the miniguns on them are pretty mediocre and they don't have any air-to-air missiles. But F-16AT comes around as well. Mi-24 goes down here, and Fortitude trying to get something done here on the map. Cluster gets another Merida in the middle. F-16AT still around. Gets the Mi-24 in the center as well, but there's still 4 Meridas on the battlefield here. And there's no gunship helicopter. There's a gunship helicopter, but there's no tow cobra here around. A single tow cobra would be pretty helpful, though you need to play defensive with it, because the OSA is a fantastic helicopter hunter as well. The Rise gets the capture in the north, gets a +2 with that for now, but that's only until the middle gets captured, and yeah, the Merida's actually doing a fantastic job in this engagement so far.
There was a Huey transporting an infantry leader squad that went from the back lines to capture Gregory, but the OSAS managed to take it out right before landing.
Yeah, we see the M60 Rise trying to get some more capture in the north. Gets spotted by the BRDM-1 though, so WoW exactly knows where it is and has a T-55 Merida leader already coming in for it. And yeah, we saw that engagement a couple of times now. It is in favor of the Merida, and the Merida really doing their job here around the battlefield. M40 in the rear gets taken out. The TOW2s don't have the long line of sights they need to get the shots off, so the Meridas can't shoot at them and kill them off before the TOW2s can get any significant amount of hits. And that is a big problem here right now for Fortitude fans, as yeah, the planes are just not enough to win this game here right now.
Yeah, in WoW in chat said that this T-55 Merida leader is the final leader in WoW's deck, so we can expect to see a little bit of micro, because losing this at +2 or -2 tick could mean that the game is just automatically lost, even though Fortitude may not know that. And but yeah, catching off this Rise CP and getting Merida into the Ivan will be a victory, I think, for WoW. I think Fence's capacity to attack has been exhausted here, even with your Huey transported recon infantry going and trying to reinforce desperately.
Yeah, and it's only one leader right now for Fortitude fans as well, and that is the leader mirroring the Merida in the north right now. That is the M60 leader, completely isolated on its own right now. So Fortitude not in the position to get any further capture going on as well. So if that Merida gets in there in the north, there is not much that Fortitude can do for now. The M60 Rise, if it can get a sneaky side shot, that would be big, but there is the BRDM that just spots the M60 the whole time, so WoW knows exactly where the unit is right now. The Dragon Scouts trying to come in, but there is a ZUR-23 to shoot down those UEs, and the UEs are not resilient helicopters. They only have 6 hit points, and here we go. ZUR opening up, getting the first one killed, second one under fire here now as well. Goes low and gets stressed out, gets killed off, so bad times here for Fortitude fans. As yeah, without an extra CV around to maybe get to Feodor or so, I don't see the chances as all that high to get up to the 1000 points that Woe Is Me has on the battlefield here right now.
Yeah, this is why you get more leaders than you think you're gonna need. This is you have lambasted me for my taking sometimes like 7 or 8 or even 9 leaders for divisions that I plan on playing like long games at, but it always pays out. Every time you the enemy has thought that they got the final ones, you still have like a random truck or a car or a little infantry squad in your back pocket. It's really useful. It wins you games. Of course, if you're playing a more aggressive division, then it's not worthwhile. But
yeah, and in the end here, Fortitude is winning the KD game, but losing the war. As Woe got the leader in there, the cluster bomber that tried to get one final kill there. Woe just sidestepped perfectly. If that cluster bomber would have gotten the kill, that would have been the kill of a century, but it didn't go through. And so Woe is the winner of this group, but Fortitude fans still needs a point on the board to avoid a decider game against Yellow Skunta. So this next game here still really important, and we're gonna go into that after a short break. Yeah, this was a pretty intense game with two really interesting divisions.
oh, yeah, I'm really excited to see game number 2 here. We have seen people now that the patch hit and especially with T55s being so cheap compared to the numerically more superior the M60s. I think we might see a little bit of a T55 revival. The people have been playing Gruppen Berliner Gruppe on ladder, and I think when I think when people realize the thing that you taught me, which is not, which is that the T55 is the best infantry support vehicle in the game, with the fact that T55 does get the kinetic ammunition, if it works together with infantry on close quarters, it can get close range shots against heavier tanks. So it can actually be a really efficient anti-tank weapon when combined with the Polish infantry that has famously the worst anti-tank weapons, or maybe the worst outside of the Belgians.
So yeah, we go into a short break, guys. I'm pretty excited. If we see another 35th game here, I kind of expected at this stage out of Fortitude, but also interested to see what Woe will bring here. So yeah, let's go around. So here we go, everybody. Game number 2. Woe Is Me, up 1-0. Fortitude fans needs at least a draw in this game to make it safely through the playoffs, and that has become a good bit more lucrative as we just got to the first stretch goal with the prize pool on Matcherino, and you can support that whole shenanigans without having to pay anything yourself. You can raise the prize pool by just going over there and click the claim code button, adding 25 cents to the prize pool. Also, big thanks to all of you who just did that in this today's stream, and big thanks to Ryan for coming in with another $15 here, getting us over the first stretch goal here at $200, meaning that making it into the semifinals is making it into the money here for these players in Division 1, and that makes it a bit more interesting here now for Fortitude getting that step done, as we have a matchup that is pretty hot as well. Fortitude coming around with 27th. Guards, a division that I haven't seen him on in a while, as it doesn't have as oppressive as of an air opener as it had back in the day. And on the other side, 5th Panzer, a classic Woe Is Me division.
Yeah, so 5th Panzer very much performs not necessarily as much on the ladder because it can be countered by other by divisions. If you face light infantry, for instance, and on many maps, it's nowhere near as capable. But right here, as we know, these players get picks and bans. They know what map they're going to buy. They can fix up their decks against the opponent and the opponent's potential weaknesses. And this Vertigo here is very much one of the top 5th Panzer maps against we can see the first pair here being used as a force multiplier, because the first pair get airborne deployment and they're special forces, and they are also ground surveillance radar recon units. This means that 5th Panzer gets the forward deployment advantage, aka they get the southern side of the map for free. This means that the other player, Fortitude, is under clock. Fortitude needs to capture Alpha to not lose the game on time, and then from Alpha needs to push either this very long and very arduous way towards India, or rotate right and try to cut off the Delta and Charlie from enemy reinforcements. And this it's not going to be that easy, because despite having really nice units, 27th is the Soviet high-tech division with the BMP-3s and a larger number of T-80BVs, as well as nice supporting units such as the overpowered, too powerful to actually fire accurately AT guns Brute, and Spetsnazvedka, which is a 8-man, not a special forces squad, but a GSR recon squad, with the Razvedka BMP-2 recon, which is also one of the more powerful units in the game, despite being very expensive. So opening as well as the 2 mid-range AA weapons, Tunguska and Tor, this is going to be an all-in. Soviets are going to have to all-in into Alpha, and they're going to have to engage in numbers. And then it's going to be WoW's task to micro this really fast yet lightly armored leopards to basically trade up and attrition away the enemy, so that WoW can either capture Alpha back, or if the best situation, of course, is that the enemy never even captures Alpha.
Yeah, and we have a decent amount of fan space here really coming along on the whole front line while playing high recon game, relying on the Leo 2's performance. Leo 2 just got buffed lately, the 2A3, a buff that is okay for the tank on its own, as it wasn't an amazingly performing tank on its own, but it is in a lineup of already amazingly performing tanks. The 1A1 and the 2A4C both are fantastic tanks, so having that pushed in a division that is already performing pretty nicely, and 2 divisions, in fact, that are performing pretty nicely, was an interesting choice, as that really pushed its 5th Panzer up even further. It got slightly nerfed in its F4 FAT, but the ground play of 5th Panzer currently is really, really scary. The same can't be said for the current state of 27th. 27th is still good, but it's far from where it has been in the past. The T-80BVs are not the monsters that they have been in the past, and the BMP-3 has been nerfed into a position where it's still strong, but not the absolute dominator that it has once been. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes.
All of WoW's anti-air is these 2 Schwillinger AA guns, and I think these things, if you zoom in, you might see the model looks hilarious. But if those Mi-24Ks are not taken out by the Schwillingers, there is a fighter plane here, and the fighter plane is not necessarily going to dive over the medium range AA. So WoW might be safe here, getting a double hit and a second hit against the Mi-24V. Massive hit there, losing only the first pair. The first pair plus car combo is 100 points, so investing into 4 of those is 1/4 of WoW's opener. So losing numerous of them would not be the greatest thing early on. There would be a pretty big tempo hit. But WoW managing to get the Schwilling up in the middle, as well as hold the middle for now with the first pair. Oh, the BRDM's taking out the other Schwillinger here with Leopard 2s and a single Jaeger Aufklärer holding the front line. A Jaguar TOW 2 carrying Tank Hunter is going to move and try to get a flanking position, which is really smart. That's if you can threaten the enemy from that location, enemy's left flank, they will have to position their units in a completely different manner. WoW is not even trying to push up to the zone anymore. Leopards are taking a little bit of distance, and Jaeger Aufklärer are trying to get into these planes. Fortitude Fence's reinforcements are tanks. WoW's reinforcement is an AA gun, with the F4 getting taken out by the Tunguska and Tor combo.
Yeah, the BMP2 trying to get the Leo 2A3 hit, don't quite manage to get there. Tunguskas and Tors get the F4F, so that is an important one, as we have a T80BV coming through the center now. A second one following right after, so 2 heavy tanks on the line for Fortitude Fence coming in, but not that many IFVs here on the battlefield yet. The BRDMs here getting into a nice position with the Sprut though. The Sprut is a high capacity AT gun. It has a really good penetration value of 21, so at max range comparatively, at its max range 23 pen, so it's the same gun as a Leo 2A4C or T80UD, so it is really scary. And
it is also a design dead end, which is why its accuracy is pretty bad. But on close ranges, it can do a lot of damage, both to infantry and heavy targets.
Yeah, and the Spencer Redka here, keeping the line of sight open. Alpha for sure can be pushed by Fortitude Fence eventually here with the current situation. But at the same time, Vo will be able to take full control over the south and gets a decent amount of Martyrs and Jaguars around. And Vo has way more tanks in the deck than the motorized deck that Fortitude is playing, or mechanized deck. You don't get that many T80BV cards in 27th, so you have to be careful with all the heavy tanks you get onto the battlefield.
Though, if you get them out early, you can create a nice critical mass, and this critical mass then can engage the more numerous tanks and start getting an advantage on the board, which is what I think is happening with Fence repeatedly buying T80s. More recon is coming. Fence is sending recon to look at the southern side of the map here, but otherwise, I think this is just going to be a kind of like we have seen this same matchup on Vertigo a lot of times. As even on Division 4, we see the same lines and same positions getting taken, and same kind of engagements where people just want to win with their build-up and then with their control. Well, whatever happens. And as WoW is going to reach Delta and Charlie, WoW is going to get into a slight points advantage, tick-wise.
Ooh, interesting counter push here, though, by Fortitude with 2 BRDMs, like calling out WoW on the potential lack of defensive forces here in the south, and that is kind of true. So that Iltis Führungs has to be somewhat careful. Swillings might get a kill onto the Mi-24 here, though, before the BRDMs can get involved. BRDMs now getting involved. The Mi-24 gets no rockets on target, but the BRDMs are valuable targets for the Zwilling now as well, and in the end, the Zwilling will go down here. So Fortitude actually might break the south easier than expected.
Yeah, the first pair getting moved away from the kind of door watching position is a really big problem here. The first pair could be taking out these BRDMs right now, but it was moved to basically provide more coverage from a better position. The 2 BRDM combo is going to face the Jaguar and the F4AT. F4AT is going to try to dive the Mi-24, and it takes it out, easy peasy, but with the lack of long-range anti-air on 24th doesn't have coops, so it can relatively safely fly around here. BRDM2 is still firing on the first pair, so the first pair still spots it. So the Jaguar moving in now. Oh, the Jaguar is not getting microed.
Yeah, but it should not get killed off by the BRDM too easily here. F4FAT in the north, getting a T80BV killed, dying for it, but that is a important kill for the situation as well, as Vo, I think, is now going for the kill here. Pushing into Alpha, and Leo 2s and Jaguars coming along there. The Sprut not able to get any important shots off here, I believe, as there is only one Martyr that went down. The Leo 2s still around. Sprut goes down, T80BVs pushed back. SU-17 AT comes around, but we see a GG called, and we see
By Fence.
Fortitude surrendering, as I guess they were realizing that this push from the north might not be easy to hold. I'm not quite sure why the call was made here. It was by surrender, it was not by disconnect, I believe. But yeah, Fortitude fans here GGing out in the advance of Wolsmy's forces. It would have been insanely tough there to hold this, most likely impossible, but there's still a bit of a weird timing here to call the shot before the SU-17 even arrives on the front line. Not quite sure what happened here.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that there was a series of good hits from Woe's forces. The taking out the T-80 repeatedly, the Leopard 2s up north, the northern flank, basically repeatedly dodged everything by getting microed into the smoke, exactly as Leopard 2s would want to do. Jaguars got really nice hits on front hits on the T-80s, and the T-80s that were retreating were also kind of vulnerable to be both spotted from the middle, and I think Fence realized that there was at least one other Leopard in the southern flank, so that Leopard could just push through and start applying pressure. There was a BMP-2 that had fired all of its Conquerors missiles, not really getting anything out of them. As always, this fence, the GG might have been a little bit preemptive, but looking at the way that the engagement was going, Woe was going to get a lot of ground there, and Fence would be forced into a fight against the faster and more mobile and more high vet forces, losing. I don't think Fence lost any of their AA, but just the fact that 5th Panzer is a juggernaut, and 5th Panzer, if it trades well in the early game, especially if it trades well against expensive units such as what the 27th has, 5th was only going to go upwards from that position. Fence would have had to do some really big micro magic against a division that rewards micro way better.
Yeah, and that means that Fortitude fans will have to go into a decider game with Suya as they both have the same stats. They have a draw against each other, both have a win against Pivot, and both have a loss against Woe, whilst Woe goes with a clean sheet into the playoffs. So pretty interesting one here. And that brings us to the next series of today as well, which is another Division 1 game between Sotek and Bottom Feeder, as they also fight it out for the slot in the playoffs. That's the last game in their group. They are even in score as well, so whoever wins that series wins the fight as well. So quick break, guys, and then another important Div 1 matchup here. Sotek versus Bottom Feeder coming right at you after a short break. And here we go into Sotek versus Bottom Feeder in a map that we hadn't had in Division 1 so far, I believe, and that is Chemicals, and its newest configuration. We had it back in the day with the big forest fight that always occurred, as this map was limited to this area, going from this corner to this corner. It is now using a corner-to-corner setup that is way more interesting in my eyes, with the center island being half of the points, the rest, or only being 1/4 of the points actually, with each of the bridgeheads on the other side having a good amount of points as well. So it's going to be interesting how it gets played here, especially as the matchup is a hot one as well, as we have Sotek bringing around the new division, the 6 US infantry, but Bottom Feeder is bringing around one of the strongest right now, the 5th Blinde division that for sure is one of the most dominant right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out on this map here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the 5th Blinde might have a real... There's a path here in which 5th Blinde just absolutely mutilates 6th. 6th has a lot of nice units, especially in infantry fights. It's AGL transports, it's special forces, it's high vet recon units, it's airborne, which has gained the airborne dragon gaining a slight price buff. It's no longer as overpriced as it used to be. So a lot of infantry capacity here for 6th, as well as some pretty heavy bombers. but not that much to actually contest the greatest enemy here, which is the AMX-30. The fact that the French are gonna have the heaviest tank out here, the most of the ATGMs that are gonna be fired by the 6th are gonna be TOW2s, which will kill the AMXs easily. But this is not a map for long-range tank engagements, outside of a few positions here, outside Delta mostly.
Yeah.
This is a deck of division of HE damage, of infantry taking frontline positions and the fire support maneuvering to do the killing. And whether the helicopters are going to be under threat on the middle here on both sides due to a lot of positions to hide your Stingers and your AT missiles and low visibility due to all the buildings. And so I really fail to see what are going to be Sotek's advantages here outside of the decent, good infantry tabs.
Well, in air tab, that is really, really strong as well. You have fantastic seaplanes, you have fantastic fighters with the F-15s, you have amazing bomb trucks with the A-70 Corsairs with 9 kilogram bombs, you have good AT rocket missile planes there as well, and you have forward deployment, which you can use here with airborne, so you can maybe get a bit of the map gobbled up. It's not as big of an advantage as against other divisions, as the AMX-10 is pretty good at punishing overextending units in deployment, killing them off in transport, but still the airborne might be able to get a good, decent dent of the map here. It's for sure still a weird matchup to play as 6, though that's for sure.
Yeah, I think if you're going to play 6th and you're going to have the forward deployment advantage, you might as well try to contest Alpha. It is so common on this map for the player on the blue side to open up by contesting Delta, because Delta is really really bad to counterattack if the enemy actually gets in there. It's holding the bridges is just too much, and there is so much space for you to hide units and so many entryways inside the Delta. Inside the Delta town. So Sotek could apply more pressure by going out there and trying to use their fast transported infantry and their special forces to get something done. They are 2-point zones, the back zones are. And not doing that might be relegating a little bit of your advantage away. Sotek's deployment isn't really that aggressive. They are decently aggressive enough going into the hotel zone and trying to get visibility over the reinforcement one of the bridge reinforcement roads. But on the other hand, this is mostly going to be a medium aggression take and hold operation with a bunch of weapons teams going right behind there. Outside of this, I don't know how much this is going to develop. We still don't know if 6th is a good division or merely a little bit mediocre, but we do know that 5th Blindé is one of the best divisions, maybe the best division to fight against forward deploying infantry heavy divisions.
AMX-30s here, moving around, Humvee toes coming up, but yeah, we see roll on 2s, important here by bottom feeder, as otherwise you would be in risk of just getting rolled by seaplane plus bombers. Roll on 2s, they don't have the most amazing stats, but they are non-radar in the way the game portrays them, so they can't be hit by seed. And that is pretty important here, so they can stay online, they don't get spotted by seaplanes, and can be the backbone of your air defense here. They're not super reliable when it comes to shutting down F-15s or so, but against A-10s and the A-7 Corsairs diving on you, they should still do their job decently fine. MX-10 RCs in the north, getting control over that part. Well, Sotek is mostly invested into the center here. Not the biggest investment into the south. We see the first plane coming in, a Corsair rocket. 60 points, 160 points. Good helicopter hunter. Can deal decent damage to ground units as well. I don't know why its Hydra isn't split into 2 weapons though, as it struggles a bit of a rate of fire and getting enough shots out at a single target. Gets the TRM-2000 shot down though, gets hit by the Rolands, will be pushed back, but at least will survive for now. Whilst we see a Corsair AT with Merrick's coming around as well.
Yeah, the Corsairs are kind of old school in that they have massive gun ammo. They have 1,000 rounds for the Vulcan. So I think the theme here for the Corsair is that you're going to repeatedly strafe the enemy, and I think that might be why they don't have the double rocket pods there to keep up with that theme. A Maverick B, the older Maverick equipped fighter bomber here, does not get any shots off, and the Rolands don't get to fire at it due to they're actually not on. They were on hunt command, but they just didn't have the range. The Zotek really needs to reinforce this area fast. The planes are going to be able to pick out singular units, but yeah, okay. So Airborne Dragon moving in there. There are no meaty squads here to actually fight against anything or hold a ground. And Bottom Feeder has been using the French opener mobility advantage with the AMX-10s to basically, if there happens to be, if the game builds up into a big grind fight into the middle, Bottom Feeder can use their faster recon units to cut off these reinforcement routes and get and slowly beat any kind of infantry concentration, even if Zotek does have the very, like I said, moderate, mild contestation points-wise.
Yeah, we see the A10 OA here coming in. That might actually be just hunting for the Roland 2s here together with the Corsair. If you time that nicely, you can most likely secure at least one kill on one of the Rolands. AT plane coming around. Didn't spot the Rolands. The A10 will do so now. Does it go for the attack run? It goes for the attack run now. Can it get a kill here? No, it gets pushed back just before it can kill one of the Rolands. But only one of them is able to fire now. And they don't quite two-shot an A10. So even if the next missile hits here, the A10 might still get out. Yeah, it just got out there. I thought it was killed there because it just teleported away. But that's just A10 behavior there. Putting on the warp speed and being out of the battle.
Ito taking out the AMX-30, very important to remove that fire support as more reinforcements are finally coming in here. Escort the PC is going to engage the Airborne Dragons, but the Airbornes and the Scouts, but the Americans will win this easily. Americans have veterancy advantage, weaponry advantage, and the fire support here is getting taken out by the Humvee, not just right this moment, but the Humvee is relocating into better cover. More commandos coming in for Bottom Feeder. Bottom Feeder actually is, if you look at the reinforcements, completely committing into this attack, wanting to bypass the middle, which is kind of what I was thinking might be happening here. This open area where the French can really flex their mechanized muscles is the better place to engage.
Really unfortunate there for Zotek. The stressed out AMX-30 actually gets the kill onto the TOW-2 Humvee before the missile can land on target. And that will allow the AMX-30 here now to support this push and the AMX-10s. Otherwise, this TOW-2 Humvee from the side could have really shut this down. We see a Corsair rocket coming in for the commandos, as those would overwhelm the situation here most likely. But the Corsair loses line of sight here last second and flies it to the Roland 2 picket line. Might get shot down there, survives for now. Okay, the Roland 2's out of range now, so the Corsair at least will stay alive. Navy SEALs do their best. One Navy SEAL is in here, but 2 commandos versus 1 Navy SEAL. I still would bet on the 2 commandos, though the Scouts and Airborne Dragons helping out here decently amount.
Not on close range though. If the Navy SEAL's getting the satchel range, I think that might be winning here for the commandos, for the SEALs. Yeah, SEALs throwing in the satchel right now, and they are not under any tank fire. Though reinforcements to chasseurs coming in here with even more Dragon Paras. Though Zotek, with a way shorter reinforcement route, has reacted to is sending in a 13-man Air Force security team, BADS, Cobras, everything's coming up.
Yeah, super important. The VETS is a nice addition as well. The Cobra has to be careful with keeping its distance, but a couple of rocket runs here could be key. Just keeping the infantry out of your face. The Dragons need some reload. Supply truck is on the way, as Dragon missiles here on these ranges can be really helpful in keeping the AMX-10s away. Second Airborne Dragon here starts to get into action as well. As the Navy SEALs gets hit by the AMX of one though. Oh no, that would be a big loss here. Navy SEALs still alive with 1 hit point. Still alive for now, but chasseurs are coming around, so chances are they will get gunned down here before they can get resupplied. Yes, that's the case. Unfortunate there, as the supply truck was just arriving. But MX-10s at least get pushed back a bit. The Cobra here now getting in with decent rocket fire. The Hydra's doing a decent job, but the Roland 2s are pushing forward. Most of the map is looking at this right now, but at the same time, Sotek is still pushing on the island. So, still trying to get an advantage there. Whilst the Rocket Corsair here comes around once more. Doesn't have any line of sight onto the Roland 2s though, and playing a dangerous game, gets shut down there. That's not how you want to play your air department here. You want to get more concentrated pushes. Don't send them in piecemeal at this stage in the game.
Yeah, Cock V Technical is opening fire on the Dragon Para, also providing kind of force recon for the NG Ito, which manages to get the AMX-10RC. That's a really nice kill here, using this very cheap transport car to its advantage. And so far in the town, the USAF security get the military police trait, which means that they can significantly kind of reinforce and keep up the fighting cohesion of these forces. Also, 13-man squad just does amazing HE damage in general. Problem is that the Brennuses are so close, but there is nothing here that has AT-4s or other close-range AT weapons.
Yeah.
And now the artillery striking right at the... Oh no.
Yeah, the security forces have to get out of there again. We have some Navy SEALs coming in again. They have AT-4s. We have a supply truck coming in for the whole shenanigans as well again. As the first one, I believe, got killed off here. And that is unfortunate, as the Airborne Dragon didn't get reloaded there. But the infantry of Bottom Feeder got pushed back. The VADS and the Airbornes here doing a decent enough job on the defense here. The AGL COCV helping out a bit as well. But we have more infantry coming in and still a decent amount of MX-30s. It's going to be tough here for Sotek to hold this without more air support. At the same time though, Sotek going for more push on the island and will get Golf, will get a +3 with that, and that is going to be a nice lead here in points that Sotek is going to be able to build up with that. Artillery coming out now with the 155mm as well, and the next plane coming in. I still don't quite get why these planes are coming in piecemeal though. Like, the Corsairs are vulnerable to Roland 2s. They can't just take these fights, and yeah, another Corsair just wasted, and they are not cheap enough to just be thrown away like that.
Yeah, their ammunition capacity makes them way more expensive than their 20 ECM and reasonably slow speed would indicate. And yeah, that is exactly the way you don't want to spend them. The French have Mistrals, which have decent enough anti-aircraft range and good accuracy, so they for very cheap price they can attrition away, or so the points that you're spending into that ammo never get actually fired, but they have to retreat.
Dragon 2s though getting a side shot against another AMX-30s, the AMX-30 number getting a bit smaller. The ACAF actually is pretty decent if it can get the jump onto AMX-30s, as it has 19 penetration on its round, as it fires one of the better rounds available for the 105mm gun. So yeah, getting some good hits here. MX-30s being hit. The issue with the M48 Recon is it doesn't have smoke. And it is a really slow tank, so disengaging with it is not that easy, especially with it getting stressed out quickly and being slowed down even further. But the amount of dragons here is pretty nice.
Yeah, this engagement that Sotek has built here with the lines of these fire teams is really just trying to attack the beast head on. The AMX-30s have so much HE damage here, and a lot of the fire team dragons are actually locked into 0 vet, so their actual accuracy is pretty minimal. They have been doing a lot of stun damage on the AMX-30s though, and I think really this about Sotek is realized that this enemy engagement is coming in on such a tight, small area that that the infantry can grind them down and the reinforcements can more efficiently respond to this Meanwhile, as the point 2 +2 is cut off by French reinforcements up north, I think Sotek is just commanding the forces to move even further. I think Sotek is recognizing, calling the bluff here, and saying that there most likely is not enough to stop everything. And even if there is, the attack down south requires so much attention that might as well start pushing with your superior forces on the island.
Yes, but Sotek didn't manage to cut off the bridges there just yet. And at the same time, Sotek did lose most of the infantry now in the south. The AMX-30s came through in the end. And the planes here, once more, another Corsair just fed into the whole grinder here. I think the planes would have been used better on the middle of the map right now, just using the super long front line that this map offers, and that using the position that Roland 3s can't cover the whole front line on their own, or Roland 2s especially, but that's not what happens. It feeds right into where all the AA of bottom feeder is. All the Mistrals, all the Rolands are down here in the south, so the planes coming in piecemeal just don't stand a chance. Like, if you come with multiple at once, you can actually overwhelm the situation, but not one by one. And with the amount of planes wasted at this stage, if they would have come in together, they could have just killed all the Rolands and then reloaded and come in another minute or two and just kill everything else. Instead, they did deal minimal damage, and 3 of them went down already. So, not the best use of the air force here by Sotek. Whilst we have a TOW 2 coming around, like, the ground engagement is taken pretty decently. The Stinger now getting the Hot 2, and yeah, the Dragon 2 setup on the ground was pretty nice, but it is getting pushed out here slowly now as well. Humvee TOW goes down to the AMX-10 Subleaned, and the center, now the Jaguars come along, smack there as well, and bottom feeder is about to push back in the middle here a bit as well. +2 still for Sotek right now, and the 700 points advantage is okay, but the situation in the south is not developing amazingly right now.
Yeah, this bottom feeder has been attacking and losing points on this attack, but if this attack actually can achieve a breakthrough, there is no way that Sotek is ever coming back here, which is why I think this investment just keeps on going. Yeah, I agree with you that those plane losses were just the biggest mistake for Sotek so far. The planes could be such a huge problem that you would force the enemy to buy fighters, which you then could challenge with your now buffed F-15C. And none of this is happening because the only place where there has been AA has been the place where Sotek has been sending their units. I think it's reflexive. People see that there is an immediate issue and they immediately need to deal with it right now, else the front line fails. And then this just becomes a reflex where you never have enough of those planes. So every time you have them, you just send them forwards, and it's a bad way to play, as we can see, because it can be countered with quite limited investment into anti-air.
Yeah, and the Jaguar in the middle did better for bottom feeder, allowed bottom feeder now to push this back. At the same time, though, bottom feeder just lost 4 AMX-30s in the south, as the M48s here pushed into the CQC engagements and won those. And that was pretty nice for Sotek, stabilizing the situation there, having a decent amount of forces there, and with still having a decent defensive presence now in the center, and still having a +1 going, a situation could be much worse for 6 here right now. As 800 points advantage, that's a decent lead, though the map has the chance for spiraling out into a +6, +8 in the late game quite quickly, so it is not a secure advantage on a map like this.
Yeah, with 23 minutes left here, it's not that difficult to achieve that 800 points advantage, but I think it is difficult to achieve that advantage if you're attacking head-on into the most defended area of the map right now, which is Sotek's town. And the AMX-30Bs are good in these situations, but there just is not enough firepower to get rid of all of this. The units getting used in different ways, moving them around the map, maybe trying to get some angles, maybe just secure that area where the tower where the cavalry scouts are, the Alaskans are, and cut off the enemy reinforcement route. Get an AMX-10 out there. See, try to just widen the front line a little bit so that the tank and the mech advantage can really shine. Right now, the engagements have been done on a dragon range level, and that is just a bad idea for the AMX-30s.
Yeah, we have another OA-10 coming around. Another Recon A-10 coming around. If that could find the AMX-01 or something like that, that would be pretty big. It can even murder AMX-30s just with its gun alone. So, yes, it's not the AT variant, but it has potential. The Jaguar does do a decent bombing run on the other side. But what can the OA-10 do here? It is going for the reinforcement route. It struggles to get on line of sight here in the end. It shouldn't go into the south. We have seen what happens there. Mirage 3E comes around. Do we have an F-15 in the sky? No F-15 in the sky now, so the A-10 has to desperately try to get out here. Oh no, the gun. Oh, that's less than 1 hit point there remaining on this A-10. It at least will get out. It will be inefficient for long and have to be in a repair shop for a while. But the Mirage on the other side goes down, so in the end, maybe still a worthwhile bait here, as the Stingers do get the job done there. So, interesting situation here still developing on both sides. Tow Cobra flying into Mistrals and Rolands in the south, not the best idea. I think the Tow Cobra would have been also better used in the center, but it's still both sides here, mostly focused on this grind in the south.
Yeah, another Corsair is up here, so if Sotek gets some nice recon information about some vehicles, the plane might dive in, but I hope that there's going to be air reinforcements if the planes are going to go around Delta. With Sotek's ACAV tank now taking up the sideline, preventing the IFVs from attacking from the left flank of bottom feeder, the right flank of Sotek, as I was afraid might be happening. With TOW 2 here, no, the commando's taking out the TOW 2 though, so the TOW can't cut off the reinforcements any further.
Yeah, we have AT and 2 HE Corsairs coming in now, so a massive investment into planes again, but they are once more used in the south, with there now being 3 Rolands and 2 Mistrals, so the first one goes down. They also don't come all at once, so they come in piecemeal once more, allowing the Rolands to take pot shots against them again. Second Corsair just gets pushed back. The first one at least got the commandos killed, and another MX-30 went down, another Dragon Para goes down, as the VADS 20mm here is put into a really nice spot on the road, controlling that quite nicely, and the AMX-01 not really being used right now for getting more kills. Though what we see lacking here is just basic AT weapon on infantry right now. There is a light rifle AT4 now, but that is in the wrong spot, and the AMX-01 here, the AMX-10 piece, just can roll through the town until they run into the M48s. Jaguar HE coming around, getting a nice kill there as well. It might get shot down. Barely making it out alive. And a second Jaguar HE coming in to get more bombs on target here, and gets a decent amount of damage as well without getting shut down either. And that's the difference. Like, those Jaguars, yes, they get damaged, but they will be around later for another run. Same can't be said about the Corsairs. The Corsair usage here, really the biggest critique of Sotek, who otherwise on the ground plays a pretty solid game against a division that is supposed to be the king of the ground game.
Yeah, some application of the Latham's doctrine could have done so much here. The artillery and supporting the M48 ACAVs moving on the flank right now.
The Eagle just being brought in, just getting shut down. Yeah, M48s here, still not in the greatest spots, getting shut down still further. The Humvee TOW not enough, and the AMX-30s and AMX-10s seemingly start to get full control over this town now. There is no special forces in here anymore. There is little infantry left. M48s can get killed off by the infantry, and there is a bit too much blue at this stage here. And the center, yeah, Sotek too slow in the center, I would say. Could have secured the whole island and just camped at the bridges, but they moved too slowly and allowed bottom feeder to get back onto the island, and with that, The tick rate here most likely will get in favor of bottom feeder soon, a lot harder than we have it right now, and then the situation will go pretty far south pretty quickly.
Yeah, the reason why you want to play like bottom feeder is playing, you want, especially when you are facing against a forward deploying enemy, you want to get the momentum of the game on your side. You want to keep up an attack. Often people will keep up the attacks even after those attacks become sensible, because they just really want to keep up the momentum. And you want to keep up the momentum to freeze your enemy, to lock down their forces in a place that you decide, into engagements that you want to have, and that way the enemy kind of gets immobilized on the other parts of the map. And if they're immobilized, maybe you can counterattack easier later on, because they had to keep grinding away you in the town. And despite the engagement from bottom feeder, as I said, could have been a bit more flexible, could have been a wider front line, could have cut off the roads, but in the end, it was the lack of disposable AT launchers that finally cursed the American defenses. AMX-30s driving through and now getting to look at there is nothing here. If bottom feeder invests a single tank to fast move up front, that could do horrible damage here.
Yeah, you say he should have attacked wider? I don't think so, because then the aircraft could have actually done strikes everywhere across the map. They still should have done that, but yeah, he forced Sotek into fully focusing mindlessly onto the south, and yeah, Sotek fed right into that. So the forcing Sotek into that one big engagement and Sotek not taking it on in the right way was what got bottom feeder into a good spot here now, getting him into a +3. The A10 just got a lot of value when the map got wide, when Sotek used it in the middle. And that's what Sotek should have tried to achieve the whole time. Going for the Rolands and getting for the kills. The Rolands here now getting attacked by the A10s. Things like this, they should have happened 10 minutes ago. Instead of now. The A10 still getting value, but on its own, once more, a piecemeal plane against 3 AA pieces, not the best scenario for sure. Still working out okay. Another Corsair coming in for it, should have come right with it, instead of on its own. But yeah, first Roland 2 goes down, that's all things though, as I said, should have happened 10 minutes ago, then this game would look heavily in favor of Sotek in my eyes. The air spam really could have worked in this game, but it came in a really, really weird way. If you see that as your win condition, you need to play it way better than what Sotek did here.
Yeah, when I said that the engagements could be wider, I was really talking about the Alaskan Cavalry Scouts area that is providing great recon and a position and also spotting for all of those planes. And because if you gain that tower, you gain the ability to move and cut off the reinforcement bridge by getting into the coast, by moving via those tree lines. And that's something that you can do. And if the enemy does that, it is just getting out, destroying 2 reinforcement units can be massive in those time fights. But nevertheless, bottom feeder managed to win this by going head on, and now is enjoying the spoils, not driving too far, not risking. At the TOW 2 managed to get into the tower to protect. Also Humvee TOWs protecting the other side. 2 Humvee TOWs trying to cut off and prevent them from crossing the bridge, but the AUF 1 aiming at there and taking out both of those tanks, both of those cars.
Yeah, and yeah, we have 2 Corsairs in the sky right now, stopping the push of bottom feeder further, but bottom feeder is totally happy with a +3. If the whole island would have fallen to Sotek would now still be on the point where he would have a 900 point lead and there would be no tick at all. But as the island is still partially in the hands of bottom feeder is at a +3, and that is a really uncomfortable position now for Sotek, because that means Sotek needs to push somewhere, and pushing 30 with 6 US against 5th Blind A, pushing into AMX-30s, that's not a comfortable thing to do. So the situation could be bad. Ooh! That was one hit of there. 5 units dying to that Corsair. Those 900 kilogram bombs really do their job. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, that is a bit of hope for bottom feeder there right now. As I feel like for Sotek, I feel like what Sotek could do is trying to push through the island into Charlie. Like, just go straight through it with some airplanes, ignore the south somewhat, isolate it with TOW2s. That's exactly what Sotek did by now, and just go straight through it. But for now, it's still focused here on the south. Really important bombing run though. Gives a bit of a chance here back to Sotek to maybe turn this game around.
Yeah, Sotek's Humvee TOW managed to get into the back lines to destroy the Alpha 1, and now is potentially could maybe destroy some Rolands if it doesn't get spotted here, though I think it has been spotted by bottom feeder. But yeah, I agree. This is now is the moment to start abusing the fact that the rest of the map has very little anti-air coverage. Getting just a group of very well performing A10s could maybe help push the end of the the island. But meanwhile, bottom feeders having all of these forces around necessitates reaction. Like Sotek cannot just allow this force to remain uncontained. So a lot of points reasonably are invested into defense on the island instead of offense, which is what is really needed here if Sotek want to win this.
Yeah, we see some Navy SEALs, we see some Dragons, but yeah, we see bottom feeder about to overtake Sotek here in points. And Sotek not having any forces here going for any aggression right now. Yeah, the Humvee TOW here is an interesting play, trying to get into the reinforcement route. Maybe trying to get the kill on the roll on 2s. If all of those would have fallen, the situation could have developed quite differently, but that's not what happened, so... yeah, Mirage 3 here versus F-15 in the rear. That goes well for the F-15, as expected, but that's not the winning move here right now. And yeah, that's already the second F-15 that had to be invested into. Like, those air units doing decent jobs right now, but they could have been done by their dead brethren. Like, having to invest into a second F-15, having to invest into further A7s instead of the first couple that the rockets and the AT that were lost early on. All of that means less units on the ground. If those would be another 500 points on the ground right now, the situation could look quite different.
Yeah, the AMX-10 of bottom feeder that has been guarding the road from the other side of the river here takes out a COCV AGL, kind of showing Sotek, if Sotek is paying attention, that it is not safe to move your units via that road. The AMX-10 can trade up horribly well if it doesn't get noted. Another Alpha 1 opening fire against the Airborne Dragon. The Airborne Dragon managed to get a shot off on the AMX-30, and now bottom feeder wants to get rid of it safely. Though more infantry is moving up here.
Yeah, we see Mistrals coming up for the north now, as bottom feeder realizes that that might be the only way that Sotek could swing this game around right now, by a big push through the center, through the north. And yeah, Sotek is still sending in more defensive units here. It's a point advantage by now for bottom feeder. I don't think Sotek has an out at this stage. Like, the S6 is a division that has a couple of mobile units, but not all that many, and you mostly need to live off your early game advantage and then followed up by your scary air force. That's your way to victory, and that's not what's happening here right now.
Yeah, the air play early on, just never building up into what is required of it, is the thing that actually lost this in the end for Sotek. Like I call it the Lathan's doctrine because Lathan's popularized it back in the day. But just never send your planes out one at a time, especially not if they are going to be facing an enemy AA line. Just the numbers themselves have inherent power for the aircraft because the enemy has limited amount of missiles that they can fire at once. And if you can get a nice rhythm going there, if you can start snowballing against the enemy AA by using artillery and using targeted bombers. We haven't even seen the Prowler here, but of course we don't there has been nothing for the Prowler to shoot. But if Bottom Feeder had been forced to run out of Roland 2s and start buying Roland 3s, maybe the Prowler could have helped kind of signify the end of the game and finish up the air defenses. But this sending them one by one just allowed a perfect operating environment for the French anti-air, and never getting their points worth out of those planes.
We are 8-10 here, coming in again, but once more into the sector where the enemy actually has defenses, and the Rolands get on top of it. One AMX went down, but the 8-10 gets pushed back. Corsair cluster landing a cluster salvo there as well, so, but it's actually missing the AMX, not getting the kill there. 2 MX-30s went down, but I don't believe this is enough to actually get over the bridge anytime soon again, and it's only 6 minutes. It's 400 points advantage at this stage for Bottom Feeders, so this situation is still deteriorating for Sotek. Another HE bombing run here.
Oh, does not drop its bomb.
Oh yeah,
losing visibility.
Losing visibility, and it's always a bit weird with those bridges. 8-10 struggling to get the bombs dropped off there, and gets shot down by the Roland 2s. And yeah, we see now one CV getting into here for Sotek, but that's not enough. It's really just reduces the take to +2. Even if the whole island would be captured, it would only stop the take, but with the 500 point advantage here on the other side, that's not good enough. And yeah, Sotek still it's 1-by-1 planes. I don't get it. I don't get it how you can play an air spam division and then do the air spam so terribly. Like, we have seen so much better games from Sotek with divisions like this in the past, and I don't quite get why this happened here. Like, if it was the overwhelming amount of micro that had to be done on the ground that kept him from doing it, but I mean, you know that's your only win condition. The enemy knows that's your only win condition, and you already get yourself on the ground into a position where you can use it as the win condition, and then you fumble it so hard. I don't quite get it.
I think it's just getting put into that situation, and the situation has you repeatedly make the bad choices because you've gotten yourself in that situation. You never manage to get the right number of planes out, but you constantly need the planes. So you're just gonna keep on trying out, hoping that something goes well, hoping that the enemy air RNG has a really bad moment.
Yeah, but there was even the right amount of planes. Like, there was times when there was 3 planes around, but they still didn't attack in a cohesive manner. Like,
yeah, that was true.
As I said, like, Sotek got the Ws on the ground, even got the KD victory here in the end, because he got the win on the ground, but he didn't use that to then take his time and get the finishing blow off. And yes, airs can be used as an, like, just get out of jail free card, kind of just emergency. I throw this at the enemy to kill a unit type of unit, but that's not 6's way of using air. 6 needs to win with air, and if you don't do that correctly, then why play 6? I am a bit surprised that, like, Sotek plays so well on the ground and then fumbles the win condition, when that's actually could have been a victory here. As bottom feeder, yeah, as you can see, the KD was in favor of Sotek, but because of the massive investment into air, not all of that was on the ground, and bottom feeder wins nonetheless here with the MX-30 push.
Yeah, I am. This was a really nice game. Happy to see the new maps being played. Happy to see the new divisions being played. I'm very happy about the recent Nemesis division because nobody seems to have a solid grasp on whether these divisions are mediocre, overpowered, or completely worthless. And I think that is the best way for the DLC divisions to be. That they are a little bit more complicated than. Let's say 76 VDV when it launched.
Yeah, it's for sure interesting to see where these going to be. 157th division, pretty close to my heart, as it is basically Soviet the Soviet take on KDA, and I love KDA. KDA in a nice spot now after buffs as well, but yeah, really interesting game number 1 here. I wonder what Sotek can do when they maybe have a bit of an easier way to victory than this air dominance. Like, Uh, don't get me wrong, I just blamed Zotek for not using the air correctly here, but he played the tougher way to victory option here. Like, bottom feeder just needed to do what fifth player needs to do, and that is easy. And Zotek needed to jump to a couple more hoops here, but they got themselves so well set up that it is a bit frustrating to see it fumbling in the end still. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they can bring in game number 2. Zotek needs to get a win here to stay alive in the tournament. Then we will go to a decider game. If bottom feeder wins, it's bottom feeder through to the playoffs. So let's go into a short break, and then we're going to be back with game number 2. So here we go. Game number 2. Bottom feeder just needs a draw here to move on to the playoffs. Zotek needs to get a W to go into a decider game. A lot on the line, especially as there is a decent prize pool by now on the line as well. And you guys can help out making that even bigger over at Matcherino, where you can help out funding the tournament further. And you don't even have to pay anything. All you have to do is click the claim code button. Thanks to all of you who did already. Chris coming in as the latest here and getting us another cheap 25 cents here into the prize pool. Or not just cheap, but free 25 cents into it. And once more, thanks to all of the people who contributed some of their direct money, getting us to $204 already. As we are now on the way to the next stretch goal. First stretch goal achieved. And yep, this is quite interesting and for sure a good motivation for these guys here as well. As we have a pretty interesting matchup, and I'm delighted to say Zotek picked a really classic current meta division this time around, so chances of Zotek I think are pretty okay here, as it's 4 Divisia versus another meta division in 35th VDV on Kreide. So interesting matchup. What do you think about the 35th VDV match pick here on this map?
Yeah, the 35th VDV, looking at the deployments here, seems like they want to kind of go all in on all the 4 locations. If the 4 locations are Gregory, Crossroads between Fedor, Dimitri, and Center, then and Center, and also Boris. This is a everything bagel here, everything burger. We are the 35th wants to use these fast and cheap Desantniki concourse vehicles to get a maximum amount of ATGM coverage early on, have a limited yet very powerful groups of infantry with the Spetsnaz and the OP Spetsnaz, even the Spetsnaz GRU recon units, and then I guess then it's just take and hold, just try to keep up and have enough numbers. There are even the BRDM2 Conquerors units that are not forward deployment are also have been ordered in. And this is kind of trying to win against fourth on a long ranges is really daring from bottom feeder. But of course, Gregory here is close range engagements, and on Boris there are a bunch of places for infantry engagements. But on the center, if you get into those buildings, as the red player, the blue player will have amazing long range positions to just shell you. There is the infantry you don't really want to have too much infantry in the middle there, especially not when you're not expecting your enemy to have that much. Zotek is using because Kreide seems to be a really good map for 4E. We have seen 4E get really good results on all levels and in ranked. And one of the reasons here is that they can provide such a reliable and powerful recon front. Both the cheap KCT Verkeners, Spec Ops recon, as well as the very firepower intensive M113 CNVs, which are enough firepower to potentially take out the Conquerors with single salvos. And those things also have smoke, so they can micro against the Conquerors missiles very efficiently. Though the Desantniki UAS, I just realized, actually, these are insane. They have 8 rounds of Conquerors. What the hell? They're supposed to have like 4.
Yeah, KCT Verkenner is coming in there. Leo 2A3s following up with an Elsk on there as well. The Cheetah PRTL, really great AA, so the B-24s have to be careful there. The AA with the iHawk plus Cheetah setup that Fourth got since 2 patches ago is fantastic. one of the big reasons why this division is currently performing so well. And the cheetah in the north gets the Mi-24K in its gun sight. And the Mi-24 tries to dodge away, but it gets shot down. So important kill there. But bottom feeder gets a good amount of space. The question is, can bottom feeder survive against the big push that is coming his way in the center?
Yeah, the big push here is going to be a huge problem. The Conquerors are too tightly knit. They are only on a single sight line, which means that both the line of sight blocking buildings as well as singular smokes can block out all three missiles coming at them. The bottom feeder has secured the crossroads with a Conquerors and is moving another Conquerors further up into Dimitri, which is really smart, really good usage of these units, and kind of taking into account the fact that the armored division most likely wants to start out by concentrating their forces, so you can be a bit more careless with your airborne deployment and your flanking operations. You kind of have to be if you want to win this. The Bravo landing zone is solidly under 35th control. There is a seed plane out here trying to pick out the cheetahs, but the cheetahs turn off their radar weaponry, and F-16, because there is outside of the MiG there is no anti-air here. If the MiG misses and the MiG does not miss, F-16 could have done a lot of damage there.
Yeah, seed plane coming around now again. Cheetahs have to be turned off. They are turned off for now. Gets turned on now. There is no bomber with this yet. But Cheetah in the south went down. The center plop is still around. One of the MR13s went down. The Conqueror's under fire now by the Brads. Ooh. Seed missiles come around. Cheetahs do survive though. And the first Conqueror's gets killed off. Second one under fire here now as well. As the NLs get the third one as well. And the layer 2 plop is real. Trying to deal with that is going to be tough. The question is though, do you need to deal with it though, or can you just kind of run around it and get your victory points elsewhere? +3 currently for bottom feeder, with potential to go to Dimitri, with potential to grab Boris as well. And the first layer 2 A4B gets side-shotted and gets killed there, trying to push down. Oh, big W for bottom feeder, slowing down the center push by a lot.
Yeah, the Freedom Fighter rocket going out and hunting down one of the Conquerors plays Mi-27 AT, trying out and hitting a Pratt, I believe, getting a lot of damage into by a cheetah. Seed misses a cheetah with a rocket plane, maybe trying to hunt down the seed plane actually with its guns. Seed plane taking a kill here.
Yeah, finding the cheetah was pretty stressed here, so it missing the first one, not a big surprise, but eventually it finds a kill here, one cheetah down, and Zotek taking a lot of damage here in this matchup.
But Zotek has managed to secure Dimitri and gain free reign towards the crossroads. Zotek is also buying in a leader here to finally end the tick. The tick is +3, but it's only been around 400 points. Zotek is investing, surprisingly investing into more recon vehicles to start pushing Boris, aka Bravo. So, but I'm not sure if the 113 CNVs are really the best vehicle here. You can see the BRDM Conquerors is moving into the royal position of getting incredible range and options and stealth against the reinforcement road of the Blues. And if the M113s do not spot this in time, they could be lost very quickly. The M113, despite having the strong weaponry, does not have good optics. It has very good optics. Now smoking off the first Conquerors, second CNV opening fire, taking it out.
Yeah,
smoking for good measure.
There is a MiG-29 now in the sky, so the F5s have to be careful. And there's only one cheetah still standing on the ground. Ihawk comes around now though, as in the same time we see a Dejant Belaujour taking care of Boris here, getting the capture there, keeping the tick at +3 for a second until the YPR gets Dimitri. But keeping up the tick here for bottom feeder, that is important. Akula on the battlefield as well, that is an interesting investment. It can be pretty scary here on the long ranges, keeping the Leos busy, having to force the cheetahs to stay close. or at least having some stingers with it. And that is for sure a good defensive tool here at this stage. Well, Micro Dracula with their fantastic fast-flying, hard-hitting Vickers missile can do a really good job here.
Yeah, with Soltec getting both of those CNVs into the siege position at Bravo. Oh, the F-16 is going to try to dive the Akula. There's no organic anti-air here. Taking it out. Oh,
Big.
that's a massive kill.
Big kill there. F-16A coming in. The MiG-29 just reacting a bit too slowly there. Second F-16 would have been around as well. So, yeah, Soltec wants to keep the sky clean and just allow his mechanized force to do it later on its own and just push through there. That's, I think, a good way to get the domination before Divisa. Question is there enough time? Is there enough space on this map for it? As Bottom Feeder has a good amount of control at the current stage over the map.
Yes, Sotek got the infantry reinforcements up to Boris here and kind of misordering the troops to unload at the forests, but now realizing the mistake, opening fire, and with 4 Oerlikon cannons plus the Bofors, plus the supporting positions and the air cover, I think the Panzerinfanterie will be able to walk through here with the fire support peeking out and getting the kills when necessary. Bottom Feeder doesn't really have anything that can counter this outside of now that the Conqueror's missiles are running out of this one vehicle, due to the aggressive and very reliable smoke usage.
MiG-25 seed comes in again. The MiG-29 got killed off by the Ihawk, but the MiG-25 gets the Ihawk. 1 F-16AA and an Ihawk down, as Bottom Feeder is starting to get a decent hold on the air with that. So double F-16AA here. First Soltec breaking this once more. CV coming in for Bottom Feeder here, actually contesting the center. +2 still on, 700 points. I would like to see Bottom Feeder trying to get for Dimitri. I'm surprised we didn't see any BMD2s yet, as currently it's all Conqueror's vehicles. And Boris actually could use a good amount of reinforcements here at this stage, as there's only a Spetsnaz, which doesn't have AT, and 1 BRDM Conquerors in there. That is not great for the forest either, and there's a lot of autocannons pushing for this forest now. So Bottom Feeder maybe a bit slow on the reinforcement route there, as both sides have taken these amount of losses. But if you can't do anything against autocannon IFVs, they will steamroll you quite quickly. F-16HE coming in here with a good kill, kills the CV as well. Goes down afterwards. Seed and MiG-29 disengaging again, so at least the air fights go well for Bottom Feeder, but that doesn't change that the ground situation in Boris is deteriorating.
Yeah, the Dutch fighters, the Dutch F-16s are significantly better than the Belgian ones due to their having better heat-seeking missiles, so they can more reliably function. And but though these are not the Dutch planes in MNAD, which also get 2 extra heat seekers. So there are variety even in the shotgun dogfighting F-16As. Now that Soltec has managed to capture this the Boris zone completely, I think the next logical step is to apply pressure onto the current BRDM Conqueror's nest, this forest here. These units are very defensive, but I think with just there's the M109 getting bought here, using the M109 and slowly also whittling away the 35th air capacity will be up trading reliably, I think. So we're getting close to a 1,000-point lead, but that's not really representative of what's going on the board here.
Yeah, we saw another plane getting shut down by the F-16s here, and a MiG-25 seat going down now as well. Double MiG-29 coming around to try to rescue its brethren here, getting an F-16 killed, but the seat plane kill is pretty important there. 1 Cheetah went down in the north still as well, so both sides here currently hammering away air units. BRDM got killed in the center, and the situation is still pretty brutal. As we have a bit of autocannons on the ground though, and The Conqueror is currently not in the spot to kill them. MiG-27 comes in again, gets a kill there. MR-13 killed off. The Ihawk is around again. MiG-25 seat number 2 needs to come around eventually, as the MiG-27 will be pushed out. Ihawk still firing. Can they find a kill? One more missile flying out. It does miss, so MiG-27 will stay alive for now.
Yeah, with enough recon, the KCT Werkeners here, they are basically forcing the Conquerors to not stand on firing positions. The only units that are putting themselves at risk here are the Spetsnaz GRU, which have way better stealth, being recon infantry, and the Conquerors need to be moved out to actually engage something that is coming out here. But if they get moved out, they will in turn get immediately spotted by the KCT Werkeners, meaning that they can be either batteried by the artillery close by, or the Leopard 1s can just move in there and get some kills. This is a very bad position for the BRDM2s. This is a bottom feeder is in a turtling stance. I think the only place to actually realistically attack for bottom feeder would be against Dimitri, but even that requires crossing over this open ground downhill, which allows for both the rocket planes, allows for any vehicles, even the standard 50 cal M113s, to do massive damage here. A Natures Longhair squad is gonna accidentally intercept the Belzor, which is trying to trying to do some backline action, I think.
Yeah, M113 here, 50
Oh
cal.
no, are they?
Oh, do they lose line of sight here? It's close. They don't quite get the kill. More units on the way there to that direction though. The seed plane didn't come in with the MiG-27 coordinated. This time bottom feeder lacking a bit of coordination. And both, one getting shut down, one getting heavily damaged. As Zotek had good Ihawk micro there. Should have come in together. A seed plane on its own is never a good way to pull. Like, you usually want to have your seed accompanying some sort of attack plane so that the enemy doesn't just turn off their AA, and that they actually have to decide if they want to just let your planes go through, or they try to risk it and fight against the seed and eat the seed missiles. But instead, both planes came in eventually. One of them went down, the other one is heavily damaged, and the Aquila number 2, outside of the AA umbrella, gets just shut down by the F-16 here as well in the south. MiG-29's not in spot to save that, so another important, expensive flying unit here going down, and bottom feeder is hammering away air units a bit too hard here.
Yeah, MiG-29 is going and hunting that kill, flying right over the Ihawk line. That's not good. Losing the MiG-29s are the only thing actually preventing the Dutch from doing very quick advances, because the Dutch fighter bombers are really powerful. They have big weapon loadouts. Even the fighter bombers carry 4 heat-seeking missiles, so they can actually do air coverage. They can fight off helicopters, which is very important against 35th. So if you lose your dedicated air supremacy fighters, the MiG-29s, the Dutch can use those bombers to kill whatever you have in front of them, and then secure the game with the recon plus tank pushes. Now we're seeing that the M113s managed to stop the Belzor and are now engaging an OP Spetsnaz unit here. The OP Spetsnaz has massive range and arguably maybe the best singular rocket launcher in the game, because it has 21 pen, massive suppression, and 12 ammo. The Spetsnaz still getting gunned down by the Oerlikon, because you don't want to engage units on long range against all the cannons.
Yeah, F-16 cluster here now hunting down the V-24K and gets the kill there. As we at the same time have Dejaniki moving around and so on, but +1 here for bottom feeder is falling apart, and bottom feeder not having the air dominance is a massive problem here with dealing with the Leo 2s as well. It's not just getting bombed, but it also means you can't just get your MiG-27 ATs, you can't get your Kulas in here to get the kills, and then the Leo 2s, they actually have a pretty easy time against your ground if that's not the case anymore. And that's a problem here for sure for bottom feeder, who really needs to be able to hold off those tanks.
Yeah, at this point, Zotac has given bottom feeder a lot of time, but this time has been going alongside bottom feeder trading down their airplanes and Zotac slowly building up a lot of force. Now we're seeing the Natras units engage. They're stepping into a concave from the higher side of the plateau. Upper plateau is firing at the Dutch tanks, but with the Natras pushing, Panzer Infantry Law pushing from another side, and Leopard 1s in cover providing fire support. This is just, there is no way to go here. The BRDM Conquerors is not even peeking out. They would be immediately taken out.
Oh,
Rocket
Me-8
heli
rocket getting
down.
immediately shot. They have a weird Igla Scratz position really far in the rear here. Okay, bottom feeder
Yeah,
just
what's
pushing
that
it
about?
forward. But yeah, a couple of Iglas on the front line to just take pot shots at things diving, at things flying over it, taking engagements. Could have really been helpful. Me-8 goes down here as well. Instead, it was all down to the MiG-27 9s, and if the enemy has F-16s and IHawks, that's a losing composition. But if you just go pure MiG-29s, well, we have now still a couple of decent infantry and so on coming around, but the +1 has started for Zotac, and Zotac is pushing for blood now, as the amount of capabilities to deal with the planes and the tanks is pretty low here. Cluster bomber coming in, might even get the Dejaniki. No, deals good damage, but Dejaniki unload last second there. But the situation here is still a really good one for Zotac right now.
Yeah, Veterans in one Desert Nikki getting all going on low cohesion does remove a lot of their potential, but they are only facing a single Natras squad, which is going to be outgunned here pretty quickly. But the interesting push here happening in the middle is a recon, not recon, but a leader vehicle. And a Natras unit pushing against the Spetsnaz here. Spetsnaz lacks AT weapons, so that if the leader vehicle can get into firing range, it can get a free kill here because it has armor and a 50 cal. Bottom feeder realizes this and sending the rest of the infantry up forwards. Zotac's reinforcements of 2 Leopard 1s, one of them getting picked out by a Metis leading to popping smoke, and Leopard's actually pushing uphill to find this Metis squad.
Yeah, Nantes engaged by Dejaniki, taking heavy losses. The Dejaniki Metis against the Leo 2 NLs, doing a decent job there, but those infantry fights alone likely won't win you the fight. Iglas now have been set up in the south, but there is an Nantes, the long-haired beasts pushing through the forest here, and potentially getting rid of them pretty soon. As yeah, it's not a map that you can just win with infantry alone. Like there are currently no such maps really, but this is for sure not one of them, as there's too many open areas, and I'm surprised by the lack of BMD2s, as they still could have been helpful at dealing with the infantry here and at dealing with the YPRs with a couple more conquers. I understand that you want to have the other conquerors units first, but having no autocannons means that in the mid-range engagements, you just suffer here as 35th.
Yeah, I agree that. I think that you don't necessarily want to get the BMD2s in the late game because on close range they can be shot down by the Oerlikons, better guns, and even the Leopard 1s can easily trade against a bunch of BMD2s. But you're still right that completely relegating the just removing the BMDs from your game plan is not necessarily the best idea, because having that little bit extra fire support can help carry your infantry into way better positions. I just imagine how, looking at the Dimitri push, how a single BMD2 could have done huge damage taking out those M113s and those Natras, and force Zotac to truly commit to defending Dimitri. Instead, the pushes led to Zotac buying reinforcements and now getting another point.
Yeah, seed plane coming in here, but Zotac now on the +2, and the Spetsnaz Comrade in the middle are on a weird push. Cluster bomber coming in there, trying to get the kill, actually not hitting it, but it's a weird infantry push through the open. It's currently working out as Sotek did bleed a good amount of units as well, and doesn't have the tanks right now to do it. The cluster bomber is also bombing the totally wrong spot, but now the Spets Comrade has been found, and the rocket gets the kill there, killing that off, getting it to a +3 here soon. And I think Sotek is about to do this here, as this infantry push looks menacing when it comes to the pure number of units, but it's super isolated, and infantry over the open field is just not a winning move in WARNO 99% of the cases.
Yeah, it is a desperation move here. The F-16 is just getting some target practice done.
Yes, there's nothing here.
But
there's a couple of Conquerors coming up now to try to protect this from enemy tanks, but it doesn't even have enough HE firepower to push through the units that are currently there. And the M109 here helping out from the rear with dealing out damage. Leo 1 coming around. Decisive might barely make it through here into the buildings, but at the same time, a big investment into the south, trying to help out that there as well, so the reinforcements for the center are somewhat limited for bottom feeder. Needs both the south and the center to really keep the hold on here. Still has a point advantage, but 17 minutes is also still a really long time, and the Decisive is now getting picked off here by the Leo 1s, and that's the issue.
Yeah, the 50 cows being such useful weapons against infantry on the open ground really just means that one of the worst things that you can do against the Dutch is an open ground infantry attack. Like, nothing here is threatened. Even the single panzer infantry law guy who is still in the building is not retreating, because why would they? Conquerors just getting into the sideline here would be nice, but a Sotek actually sending a PRI unit to do a little bit of flanking here could actually just drive past the backlines. I doubt there's basically nothing to cover it, and bottom feeder's 4-man push, 4-squad push is gonna step right into the autocannon range in just a second, as well as the tank gun range, and that's gonna be a bad engagement for them. Reinforcements are coming in for the Dutch, so any kind of takeover of Gregory needs to be a hold.
Yeah, we see now the push coming in here, but yeah, with the loss of the CV in the south to the YPRs, with the CV there going down, that's a problem. So center now gets cleaned out. A new CV needs to go south soon though. And F5 here coming around. Iglas finally in high enough numbers that they can shut down things. Getting a kill here on one plane. Might even be able to do a shutdown onto a second plane here, but they coming in a bit late. That F-16 is barely getting out alive. And all the infantry is dead. A couple of Dejanikis are still standing at the wrong spot, I guess. Out of that, they are dead. New CV needed for the south. I'm not sure if there's enough CV still in the deck. BRDM is moving there now, but that means the center will get lost in a second to the Jenny coming in there. And that means the take here will continue for Sotek, and that gets Sotek closer to victory here, as the Conquerors BRDM struggle to get kills as well.
Yeah, Sotek's reinforcements are going down into Gregory, but also 2 more Spetsnaz units and 2 more Desantniki units coming to follow them up. I don't think Sotek has enough to cover Gregory here without some excellent IFV micro, but I don't think that's really necessary. They're just I don't think bottom feeder has the map control to push any of these sites, as long as the center is held by a strong tank plus recon vehicle force that is now moving to clean up the rest of the Desantniki.
Yeah, more helicopters coming around, but their survival time here is pretty low. Not counted in minutes, but more in seconds, as F-16s have been pretty efficient at removing them so far. F-16HE here, most likely gonna ruin the day of some Dejaniki in the south, getting rid of 3 squads at once. That's a great hit there as well. And now it will get out again. The Igla numbers in the center have been decimated, so AR can fly pretty easily there as well again. And a couple of YPRs get taken out still, but the amount of red forces on the battlefield has been reduced sufficiently enough that I believe this should be a pretty easy victory at this stage. BRDM gets just sniped there, +3. About to get the lead here in favor of Sotek, as it's 120 points per minute. And there we go. GG has been called by bottom feeder, I believe. Yes, there we go. And that means we will go into a decider game here between Sotek and bottom feeder, as both of them won the map here. They are completely drawn in the tournament with that as well. And it comes down to the final map here.
Yeah, Sotek wasn't really punished for the more, let's say, task-based airplay that we saw here. Sotek wasn't really punished for sending them out one by one, but Sotek played very smartly under the cover of the anti-air. At no point did they take any risks to overextend. Allowing the slow tick build-up to happen was the right choice, obviously, and the just playing very confidently, recognizing and knowing 35th strength and weaknesses. Their strengths being that they can attack against you, and they can take you out with the very fast ability to send in Spetsnaz to basically 1v1 every infantry unit you have. They can send in the helicopters to do a lot of damage. They can send in rocket helis for cheap to destroy your infantry if you spam it. They have the MiG-27s, which are really nice taking out planes. Their guns can even destroy your leopards if they get a side shot. So what does Sotek do? Sotek just sits back, builds up enough of a concentration of air power so that whenever the attacks start happening, the Panzerinfanterie, the PRI attacks start seeming like really efficient, because 35th doesn't have any of the assets they need to actually counter anything. So very well thought of from Sotek here. Not getting horse blindered as they did in the first game, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this final game, because these two really seem to be on each other's level, as both games were pretty close KD-wise. Both games had a lot of back and forth. So really excited to see what we got there in the final game. Gonna go into a short break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with the decider game, which is also gonna be the final game of the day. So don't you run away, guys. One more good game coming right your way. Game of the day, the final game of this group in Division 1, the decider game of who moves on in this group, as bottom feeder and Sotek fighting for spot number 2 in this Division 1 group, which we have with a quite interesting loadout here with Lathans as the first place that won against everybody. And whoever wins here will get through as spot number 2. Sotek and bottom feeder here, left and right. And yeah, they are both drawn against each other, one win and then one lose against Lathans. So they should bring us an interesting game, and they bring us an OG matchup. 5th Panzer here versus 79th, as 79th has the good TADBVs, but we just saw 5th Panzer earlier dismantling 27th guards on this map, so there is potential for this here once more. Whilst TADBs here coming up early, a lot of forgot ATGMs. Interesting, as they don't one-shot Martyrs, and they don't really do much damage against Leo 2s, but they can damage Leo 1s. Still an interesting choice here to go into the Forgot spam.
I think they are expecting the meta vetted up Leopard 1 spam opener, because that thing is really powerful. And it's a lot of people don't open with the heaviest tanks on on vertigo because they expect a cluster bomber immediately, and 79th also opens up with high vet tanks, so fast tanks, even the ISD-29s. So you would think that the 79th is also going to want to have a bomber defending their tanks when they attack. But bottom feeder, as we can see, is deploying reasonably conservatively, not taking any positions. Even the Fernspare going into a pretty safe spot, not trying to drive into the flanks or one of the buildings. We saw fifth played earlier today, and there we saw the Fernspare getting used to get map control up north as well as in the middle. Right now, bottom feeder choosing the cheaper alternative, sending the recon aufklärers to hold positions very defensively, again, supported by Schwillinges. The Alouette, I think, will be the thing that matters here. Alouette will spot the enemy, they will spot the enemy composition, the enemy speed, and then the rest of the tank force, which is surprisingly consists of 0 vet Leopard 1s and 0 vet Jaguars mostly. So I'd say still very defensive. Maybe the Leopard 2A4 will be enough of fighting power if the enemy wants to break through. But looking at the Plumia and Fagot-based defenses of 79th, I think both players will start this pretty defensively. But both players are expecting the other one to do something drastic. Both players want to fight against an enemy tank all in on defense, and bottom feeder, having the better ATGMs in form of the Jaguar 2s, wants to rely on them, and Sotek, I believe Sotek just straight up is thinking that there's going to be Leopard 1s that are going to get close, Jaeger Aufklärers and Fernspärers acting as forward deployment infantry, and that is why everything here is getting deployed so widely and not really into the all-in.
Okay, yeah, we have a decent amount of Spetsnaz GRU and Fansperers here just going to look at each other. So that's going to be interesting, really, to see who will grab the north first. Who will be like, okay, the enemy doesn't want to fight at Alpha Bravo either, so let's just grab that. The big land grab, always interesting to see. The BMP2 there gives Sotek a slight advantage for sure. But that obviously needs a bit more commitment to really lock those two down, and I think that could be where this game is decided. Whoever decides to go for with a small investment into Delta and Charlie, if that works out and they can lock that down, this could really force the hand of the other player into attacking into Bravo and Alpha, and usually being on the defense there helps out quite a bit.
Yeah, the both players wanting to start out the game by trading upwards, and it's I think it's smart. We've seen too many all-ins. We've seen too many people try to immediately open the game and drive into a well-prepared defense. And I think most of them know that this is the decider game. Nobody's going to take any risks. I think Sotek's force of Plamias and Fagots is a bit risky here because with the Leopard 1s and Seekerungs and Leopard 2A4, I think bottom feeder could maybe break through this with enough aggro, but I'm not sure if bottom feeder is really prepared to do that.
Yeah, the 30mm grenade launcher coming around, Conquer is moving around, so all of that is quite nice. TDBK can move in there soon. Another TADB being brought in. On the other side, we have a Leo 1A5. So, yeah, both sides stacking up further in the south. I would expect around the 3 to 4 minute mark. More consolidated investment into Charlie and Delta. Once both sides realize it's freaking empty up there. I'm surprised the Alouette of bottom feeder didn't check that out further. Fagot might get a roll on 2 kill here. Ooh, unfortunate. Roll on 2 does get missed. Well, it's the amount of ATGMs here on both sides is making any aggressive moves annoying, at least. Not impossible, but pretty annoying to move around all these ATGMs flying your way, including a Conquest that immediately routes the Leo 2A4C. but Jaguar and Leo 1A5 will be able to take out that Conquerors at least. T80 is not in position to help out here, so first blood still goes for bottom feeder. The Leo 2A4 being routed is annoying though.
Yeah, bottom feeder is now taking positions to siege this area with the Jaguar 2's excellent TOW2 missiles. If you capture the southern forest here and you get enough recon and ATGMs out there, you can basically impose fire control on the enemy zone, which means that their tanks are going to be in limited positions, and that they most likely are going to want to pull their tanks further back, giving you more ability to gain ground. The bottom feeder's reinforcements here, taking out the MiG-39. Oh, that's a really nice kill.
Yeah, that was so unnecessary. Never suicide on an Alouette. I don't know why the investment... Yeah, the Eagler was already on the way. Like, that was Zotac just being a bit too restless and just wanting a thing gone that wasn't high enough on the priority list really to warrant getting nuked like that and risking your valuable fighter like that. So
yeah, it's reflexive. People do it reflexively, I think. It's a very bad habit. That's why the bait copter is one of the top tactics in this game. It works so easily. Just put recon helis on top of your AA and you will get kills.
Yeah, never send planes after a helicopter that is worth more than less than 450 points or 100 points, unless you are absolutely sure you can make the run. And you can't be sure when there's Roland 2s around, so just don't. I have stopped doing that. That's why we see currently Skific playing so much for recon helicopters, because yeah, they are not worth sending something like that against it, while still getting decent value, but they're just not worth it cost efficiency wise. Jaguar is here on an interesting push, but the Fagot's actually helping out decently there. First Jaguar gets taken out, and the Leo 1s are still around. The Leo 2 is around as well, so T80s have to be careful. But yeah, the Fagot here just pushing on the ground with all of this is an interesting take on the whole scenario, and it gets decent results so far.
Yeah, the Leopard 1A5 is really not performing here. The position that is currently held by the Leopard, that is losing against the T80, should be held by a Jaguar. The Jaguars were doing the wrong task there. They should have been in cover. They have mediocre stealth, which is better than what the tanks have. And if any of those toes had hit, that would have immediately swung the battle to bottom feeder's favor. But right now, bottom feeder just trading away some of the vehicles. Second howitzer is coming in, and the first howitzer didn't do a lot of damage, but in time, I think the area that the T80s are forced to move around is so tight that they're gonna get a hit sooner or later. T80 missing a shot here and having to waste the smoke for the moment. No supply out here for smokes.
Yeah, Leo 105 goes down, but a lot of ATGMs coming out now out of the Milan 2s, and they are potent ATGMs. The T80s there was in a weird spot, pushing through the smoke, gets hit there by the Jaguar as well. The Fagot ATGM at least keeping the Leo 2 stunned down for now, but Jaguar still gets another shot out here. T80 maybe goes down. No, it barely gets out around, while Zotac now is the one that takes the hold in the north. BMP2 pushed through. He took the risk there, just calling out the bluff, realizing the enemy just has nothing there, reinforcing with one motor stalky BMP2, and that is exactly the amount of units you want to have in the north for Zotac right now, I think. Whilst now he can focus on bringing in more into the south again. The first IZD comes around. I'm surprised none of the previous T80s was an IZD, as they have the better ATGM with Diagona, and they can also move in these engagements a lot faster. So yeah, that comes around now. Fagot ATGM still being annoying here. Fuchs Milan under fire, as BRDM Conquerors and T80 still moving around. So yeah, really interesting play with the Fagots. I like how they are used. Not something I would usually play like, but it's well done.
Yeah, the Fagots got so much value out of them, and not just due to not just because of the scare factor. The T-80s, now that they have gotten some hits, all of them pull up further north and basically relinquishing the zone for bottom feeder, not willing to trade away the tanks and not willing to trade away the potential numerical tank advantage. So far, Soltec has really nice map control with the Spetsnaz grooves and the fagots all around the place, and BRDM conquerors can move around quickly to impose it if they get information about the enemy. The Seekerungs walking out and the tanks moving out immediately as bottom feeder realized that the tanks were retreating. But now that the ISD 29 is there, that's a really risky position for the tank because it's going to engage two different groups of leopards from two different directions, including the Milan 2s. Oh, if it gets stunned here,
it gets the smoke out just before the stun hits. It should be able to get away. It's moving in a weird direction. The Fagot on the hill is having to disengage there for a second. The Leo 2's taking heavy damage. The Fagot in the town still doing good hits there, getting good stuns. Jaguar is pretty low.
Battery.
But the
counter
battery is
battery
good.
Howitzers.
Yeah, I can see a pretty big investment there. Pretty important investment. BMP2's finally coming around. As so far, yeah, it was the Fagot, the Conquerors, and T-80 engagements. Supply vehicles are around as well, and the Fagots in the center still dealing some damage. T-80 there still around as well. And don't forget, bottom feeder has to win more than just Bravo. So, Sotek, as long as Sotek trades good here, Sotek eventually can give up this point even, and just be like, I have the point advantage, I have, you need more than just this, so I can disengage further. And currently the trades are pretty good. It just has to take a bit of a time off here to get the T-80s repaired, and getting that moment of breathing here is going to be tough, where he can just get his T-80s back up to full hits, but on the other side, a decent amount of units damage as well. First T-80 goes down here now. That's an important kill. As a Mi-24V comes around the side, that could find some value as well, as the Roland 2s are a bit too far back, so the Cocons here could fly quickly. Leo 1 A5 goes down. Next unit under fire with the Jaguar goes down already as well. Yeah, the Mi-24V attack here, really, really good. Could find a second Jaguar here. Finds a second Jaguar. This is big. Really great flank here by Sotek. The right unit at the right time, at the right spot. Finds another Leo 1A5. This is massive.
Yeah, there was a Leopard 2A4 reinforcements, and the second Leopard 2A4 is currently being repaired. So there was a momentum here for bottom feeder to push through, but this Hind has completely changed the situation. The fact that there was no anti-air, even the Schwillingers getting deployed and bought fast, they're cheap and they move fast when transported. The fact that there was no Schwilling covering that southern zone is a huge lack of defenses here, and it allowed for this to happen. Now, bottom feeder knows that the enemy is that the enemy is getting back into these buildings, taking out the Fagot with the artillery strike, and now moving a Rasit and more units to attack from the south. Bottom feeder has managed to get the buildings in the sieging positions, which provides them with a lot of nice recon and safety, but without actually dealing with the growing number of both BMP2s and T-80s, this is going to be a hugely difficult task, even with these good positions.
Ooh, Akatsia taking out the Jaguar with artillery. The Hind trying to come around again was a bit overeager. I feel like Sotek in general a bit overeager here right now. You don't need to push Sotek. You did your good trades. You have the advantage in the north. You don't need to push the enemy out of here. You just need to keep them at bay. Let them come at you. Oh, I don't like this engagement for the T-80s right now. They are overstepping their welcome. They should smoke off and get out of there. They smoke off and push through further. I don't think that's the right move against Leo 2A4Cs. They just outclass you massively. So the T-80s here, yeah, now they're finally moving back again. Leo 2A4Cs here still around. One T-80 still might go down on the retreat, as they are not out of range yet. Yeah, there we go. One T-80 gets gunned down. And the Hind did die as well, so losing two important units there by being a bit overeager and getting a good couple of others damaged. I didn't quite like that engagement here in the end of Sotek, though the situation is still okay. is still manageable, but bottom feeder is now pushing for blood here. Finds a great hit against the T80 BK. Leo 2's under fire by BMP2 ATGM fire now from the rear, so Sotek still with some decent units here to support all of this. But yeah, with the Milan 2 line here from bottom feeder, pushing into that was a terrible idea by Sotek, and kinda risks the whole situation, the whole position that he got himself into, which looked fantastic 3-4 minutes ago.
Yeah, the Leopard 2A4s, I think all of the Leopard 2A4Cs have now been bought, with the next reinforcement tank being a Leopard 2A3. So bottom feeder really going all in, recognizing that this needs to be won now. Otherwise, the end game will be just way too difficult to deal with enemy of a 1000 tick already. Now, the PA 1s here will provide nice fire support, and they will be able to fire over the houses, which means that the line of sight defenses of Sotek are a little bit less efficient.
Oh.
Leopard 2s are in decent positions to get some kills here, though.
Engine destroyed. The Coupe gets some shots, but a lot of BMP2s dying, and the T80BV with the engine destroyed. That is pretty terrible. The Pioneer Carl Gustav pushing through all the BMP2s. The situation here for Sotek is deteriorating super quickly. T80BV IZD now gunned down, and the Leo 2A4s just do what Leo 2A4Cs do, and just pushing through here. The middle position never got reinforced by resupply. The Fagot from over there could have done a lot of extra work here. And yeah, another T80BV IZD goes down here, getting gunned down by a Leo 2A4 pushing. And Sotek just overplayed his welcome. I don't understand the counter push. The counter push was just way too greedy, and he gets punished massively for it, and now he is in a tough position here in the south. It's still a point advantage, he still has the north, and he still has some forces here, but he needs to stabilize soon here, otherwise this could get out of hand quite quickly.
Yeah, I think it was the Hind. The Hind got so many kills that Sotek basically figured out that this is the best position I'm going to get to push. But then the next attacks resulted in significant overextension. Some of the Leopard 2A4Cs got some really nice hits, even on low cohesion, and especially the getting hit by the Milan 2s and the PA 1s here. Well, I think those ones really did majority of the damage, because they force out the smoke early on from the enemy tanks, and then whatever the fight is going to happen, if you commit to that fight, Leopard 2A4's guns are so good that it can destroy you just like that, and you may not necessarily be able to retreat there. So repeated overextension on both sides, with bottom feeder now seeming to have the upper hand. Even more reinforcements are coming. This time infantry is being bought by bottom feeder in 2 different waves, so I think this is going to be the time to start pushing those buildings. The Citadel up north has no supply and has now run out of Fagot missiles, but artillery could take that out after some time. An Su-24 AT plane, kind of I believe a little bit of a desperation move, knowing that the Roland 2s are still there. And Sotek has such a limited recon that I don't think the plane can really do anything here.
Yeah, the T80BVs are the last line of defense here, and there's enough Milan 2s to keep them pinned down. There is still a good amount of Leo 2A4Cs as well. It's 4 of them on the battlefield, and they are already good enough to 1v1 the T80s. You need BMP2s around with ATGMs to stop that. And more Fagots coming around as well, but they won't kill those Leos. That's the issue. The Leo swarm is pretty unkillable at this point. And eventually it can push through to Papa, most likely, with the current trades and the current situation. And that's the big problem for Sotek. Like, Sotek is nearly 1000 points ahead now, but holding off the enemy from ever pushing to Papa in 23 minutes is going to be a really tough task now with the forces that are still remaining. If there would be more BMP2s, you could have held on this defensively for a long while longer, but as that is not the case, the situation is pretty different and quite tough here against all those heavy tanks that will come their way and that outtrade against your T80s every time of the day.
Yeah, the helicopter coming in here with the Kokon missiles, trying to impose some amount of fire control on both the both the forest line as well as against the leopards. But the leopards are so fast. You only need to have one of them firing at once, two at maximum. You have enough supply that you can constantly keep them repaired. They're not zero vet, so they're likely not going to get stunned by just a few hits. And they are fast enough and have good enough accuracy that they can pick out those shots reliably.
UATS gets the kill, and TADBV and IZD here still firing. The Leo 2A4 blob now moving around. Jaguar is still around, and there's just not enough to kill that here. The double Milan in the building here really was what tilted that earlier fight heavily, and pushing into that was pretty brutal. TADBK goes down here to the Leo 2A3, and that's means that only one tank remains. Only one tank remains on the front line, and that is still a pretty low hit point TADBV right now versus 4 Leo 2A4s and 1 Leo 2A3 here. The ATGMs not really dealing any real damage here. The Fagot not a capable one there, so...
No, the Fagot got a side shot against the Leopard 2A4.
Yeah, but if it would be a Conquest, it would one-shot them. Like, that's the big difference here. Like, you don't get kills with that. Sure, you can buy a bit of time, but you can't buy kills with that. And the forces right now are not enough to ever single out a Leo and just kill it. And with that not being the case, the Leo blob is just going to get bigger and more consolidated and eventually most likely break through. We have instead the investment into the north right now. So bottom feeder doesn't want to go for pop-up. Bottom feeder wants to go for the lesser defended point instead, though splitting out the forces on their own. The SU-25 right now into the north could shift the whole dynamic of the game, but it was brought into a panic buy again in the south. Really, second SU-25 comes around. Okay, yeah, that's a fantastic investment. Still, if I would have to be critical of something in this series so far, it's Sotek panic buying planes and throwing them away a bit too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there should be a fighter plane in bottom feeder's deck there that can respond to this under cover of the Leopard smoking.
But the Leopard not smoking yet, though. They don't seem to realize what's happening. Oh, smoke last second there. And the 30mm doesn't quite have the angle to keep the line of sight going. So the SU-25 not getting the kill there. And it's filling, pushing it back. It's the F4F. AA comes around. The SU-29 would have been helpful now, the MiG-29, but that was wasted on the Alouette earlier. Like, really, the air fights here, biting Sotek now. Gets the kill into the F4, but the SU-25 goes down. And the push in the south is still threatening, and the northern move now most likely is game-winning, as the MiG-24 doesn't have any missiles anymore and doesn't have any rockets. It only has its 30mm gun, so it can't stop this push on its own. And there's no other unit there to really stop this either. TADPV IZD is pushed into the north, but that means the south is vulnerable again. And I believe Sotek just took too many bad trades in a row here to let this get away with. And the Mi-24 now just losing out to the Martyrs, getting murdered. Another important unit lost. The ADBV IZD died in the south, and it's just not developing in favor of the red player, even with the point lead, as it's still 18 minutes. So sniping CVs here might be the way to go now, but I don't think there was any CV killed earlier, so there still should be more than enough for bottom feeder at that end as well.
Yeah, the bottom feeder counter-attack, the attack up north was also done exactly at the right moment. You get some nice kills and do a lot of damage on the other part of the map. You push your enemy, you force them to a counter-attack position where they are most likely going to pre-buy a bunch of reinforcements to prevent the breakthrough. And after those reinforcements have been pre-bought, then you yourself attack up north, making sure that the only way they can reinforce that is by sending air assets. And now that tanks are coming in, the tanks are likely not going to be there before the Pioneer Führer.
And yeah, off-terror is still moving around. The amount of Leo 2A4 here in the south, it's just so overwhelming. The resupplies keep on running there as well, and the Pioneer Fury about to start to take here in the north. Sotek tries to get a TADBV forward, but Martyr Milan here is still around. Conquers, gets hit, TADBV moving in, but I don't think they can get there in time to really save the situation. And even if they save the situation in the north, those reinforcements not going to the south right now means that the southern situation is getting worse at the same time further, and there is potential for those Leos just rolling over everything in a second, because there's only 2 BMP2s and a Fagot remaining here as anti-tank, and that's not good enough if the enemy has 5 Leos coming down your throat.
Yeah, this is the single unsupported T80 going deep into the northern position here. Getting a front shot from the Panzerfaust with a Plumia supporting, but no infantry reinforcements. Yeah, there is no way Sotek is getting north back, or anything back really.
Yeah, the mod of Clara and the Motostrelki there from the north could maybe get a bit of an eye on, but with the Man 6x6 repairing the damaged Leos, there is no chance the T80 is gonna win that engagement. If that would not have been the case, the T80s maybe could have found a way to get the kill there, but yeah, it's not fair. Not a fair fight at this stage. Those forces are just so overwhelming in numbers now, and the Martyrs and Leos really pushing forward. And it really all comes down to that one terribly taken engagement in the south. It's just letting 5th getting into the complete Leo's 2-4 steamroller, and the Leo 2A4C currently maybe the best tank in the game when it comes to the top end, as it is fast, it has a fantastic gun, it has good frontal armor, and it is still decently affordable. So it really does everything you want from a tank like this.
Yeah, the overextension, like, it calls for you. The siren song of a mech breakthrough after your helicopter gets a couple of important kills right there. It can drag you away from even a very well held defensive location in the way that your enemy could never dislodge you. You yourself can dislodge yourself.
And there we go. Kill in the end here. Bottom feeder does get the W, does get the 2-0 victory in this matchup. And no, not the 2-0 victory. The decider game victory. The 1-0 victory in this decider game. And moves on into the playoffs together with Lathans. So the Division 1 is finalized basically as well. At least when it comes to who moves on. Outside of Fortitude Fans versus Soyuz Gunter, we still need to wait for that, as we have Scuff, Dark Neutron, Lathans, Bottom Feeder, Vo, Stardeck, and Stahlbrecher moving on. Procomi and Tiberius both eliminated, even though the game is still something we have to wait for. But yeah, we can move on with the playoff stage here. Stardeck and Stahlbrecher getting through against the 2 favorites of the group is the pretty big upset here, and it's going to be really exciting. I'm really hyped for this, as this is an interesting group of 7 players already moving on, and whoever makes it out of Fortitude Fans and Soyuz Gunter will bring in some flavor there as well. So that's a lovely group. The old veteran with Lathans coming around, absolutely dominant right now in that group, so let's see how he does in playoffs. Like him and Vo, most likely the big favorites, just being clean, though Scuff always scary as well. And yeah, Sadek and Stahl, really interesting games here as well. Eliminating Procomi and Tiberius for sure, a pretty impressive move as well.
Yeah, I am especially excited over seeing Lathan's performance so far. Lathan's has been a juggernaut, as is to be expected, and we haven't gotten any of the games on this stream, unfortunately, but a bunch of them have been casted on my stream earlier, if you're interested. The Snowwolfie performed very admirably despite the 3-loss history, and Homelander, I was very surprised I mean, not necessarily surprised in the Scuff, Dark Neutron, Golden Panzer group, but in general, you would have thought that Homelander could have kind of held their own, not get all of their losses down. But I guess that's the thing about being a cheese player. You may lack on some of the fundamentals that your ranked opponents cannot catch you up on. But on League Division 1, people will reliably catch you on.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for all of these games going on. We're gonna go into the playoff stage next week. Gonna put all of that up for the players tonight, and yeah, we just have to wait for this tiebreaker game. But all the other three quarterfinals can already get going because we know who is going to play whom, and we're gonna set that all up. So that's going to be exciting. Division 2 still has to wait for one or two, a couple of games as well. Same goes for Division 3 and 4. But everything is moving in a decent pace. Like, we are only a couple games short, most of them being played today, from seeing all the results. 1 or 2 tiebreaker games still standing out as well. And then we can go into the playoff stage, which is going to be the really exciting part. And once more, guys, if you want to support it, you can do so completely for free. And get the match arena up here. If you haven't followed over at Glorite's channel yet, you should absolutely do that as well. And if you haven't followed here, obviously, you should absolutely do that as well to have more competitive WARNO in your life. Big thanks to all of you guys. We're down to only 12 codes, so that should be done soon as well. Getting all the free money into the tournament. Thanks for all of that, guys. And yeah, thanks for all the support again. As we gonna end the stream here. And let's see. Can we send you over to somebody? Yes.
Jeremy started streaming.
Yeah, Jeremy, who we covered earlier, streaming right now with some ranked action. So have some fun over there, guys, and support the Division 2 playoff stage player there as well, who might be in Division 1 next season, depending on how that goes there. So, yep, see you all around, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.